All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you so much for joining me today and waiting patiently, as always, for the show to begin. I see immediately I have a couple of super chats from NewSoul9. I will get to that, buddy. I think Boss is joining me here. I forgot to let him in. It's time for him to join us while we stream. Boss, come on. I know. Everybody's waiting for you. Something's off. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. NewSoul9, appreciate the super chats. I'm going to get to them in just a minute. I have seen multiple people mention that there's this rumor circulating that Remedy is working on an exclusive PlayStation 5 game. I can't seem to find the source of this rumor. I haven't seen anything on it, so if anybody can let me know where that's coming from, maybe I can look into it. That would be pretty awesome, though. But yeah, speaking of PlayStation 5 exclusives, we have some interesting stuff to talk about today. One of the topics we're going to be going over here has to do with FromSoftWare and how it seems highly likely they're working on a big PlayStation 5 exclusive game. Of course, I put Bloodborne in the thumbnail. I mean, it could be anything. I know that there are some people that don't want to believe this could be a possibility, but it's actually more than, I mean, it's actually something that is, I don't want to say guaranteed, but pretty much at this point, it's guaranteed. It's not a matter of if or when. You're saying stream down again? You guys having any issues? Yesterday, YouTube was kind of screwed, and yeah, it wasn't good. Spider-Man 2 spoiler cast when, bro? Very soon. I just platinumed Spider-Man 2. Just platinum. It's not going to be today, but very soon. It's probably going to take up a segment of one of our streams we do here. You're saying it was a joke? Okay, good. I can't tell anymore, you know? After yesterday, I'm all messed up. But, yeah, we're going to be talking about FromSoftWare, what's going on with them and Sony. We're going to be talking about the PlayStation Portal because Sony actually discussed this new handheld recently. We're going to be talking about Remedy, not necessarily them making a PlayStation 5 exclusive, but they recently talked about a game they would like to make, and it sounds like it would be ideal for them to maybe partner with Sony to make that game. We're also talking about GTA 6. We have an official patent that was discovered that gives us some idea of what we can expect from GTA 6. So, yeah, this is what did I talk about GTA 6 yet? No, not yet. So, yeah, before we dive into these topics, just a couple of things here. Obviously, thank you guys for watching the content. If you weren't watching it, there would be no point. Love you guys for that. If you could take a second, hit that like button. We are at 69 likes right now, but we got to go higher than that. So if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the streams, hit that like button for me. See if we can get up to 100 likes. That would be fantastic. There are 3 ways you can support me directly. I do rely on you guys for direct support to run this channel and keep things going the way they go. So here are the ways you can do that. Become a channel member. If you are already a channel member, gift memberships. If you're not interested in gifting memberships or being a channel member, then please consider donating a super chat, ask a question, make a statement, give an opinion, whatever else it might be. Have some fun with it. It is a great way for you to support what I do here. So big shout out to this community. Big shout out to all of you who support me. You know who you are. It means everything. Thank you so much. And with that being said, I'm going to segue right into NewSoul9's super chats. NewSoul9, thank you, buddy, for the support. I'm going to read them back to back here. You're saying, MBG, you need to be okay with people calling Horizon and God of War mediocre. I don't know how you think people are, quote, delusional, end quote, the same way people consider Gears 6 and Forza mediocre, regardless of its graphics and gameplay. And then you also say, also, MBG, I'm genuinely asking, what do you consider bad management? Because I see that word thrown, you're saying you see that word thrown around a lot on stream. Good stuff here, man. So I'll work backwards here. I'll start with what I consider bad management. What I consider bad management, it's pretty simple. It's when you have a certain, like, I mean, obviously, the more development teams you have, the more scrutiny you're going to get. But when you have a certain amount of development teams and there's a certain expectation with those development teams where it's okay, you have this team, that team, and this team, right? I mean, in the case of Microsoft, they have, and I don't know how many teams they have at this point, but Sony has a lot of teams. You have a platform, you have a console, you have an ecosystem, you have a subscription service, whatever it might be that you are trying to sell to people. Bad management to me is when years go by and either no results are produced or very poor results are produced consistently. This to me is what I would consider bad management. And, you know, that's why, frankly, when I look at the PS4 generation with Sony, I think that they had very good management. It wasn't perfect. Hold on. Zekophobia. Let me hold on. Give me a second, New Soul 9. I got some drama going down in the chat. Why was that removed? Zekophobia, it's okay. It's okay. Easy. You didn't have to remove those super chats, Zekophobia. It's okay, Easy. I still got them here, and I'm going to read them. But it's a Zekophobia, bro. Come on, dude. It's a joke, man. Zekophobia. You didn't have to do that. He was continuing a joke from yesterday. Easy E, I apologize for that, man. Don't worry, I still have your chats, and I'm gonna read them. But Zekophobia, you gotta chill. Listen to me. Okay, this is something I'm gonna make clear now. Dude, tell me that Sir Speaks a Lot. No fucking way, bro. Sir Speaks a Lot. No way. Sir Speaks a Lot like, oh, shit, I came back at the wrong time. I see you, Sir Speaks a Lot. All right, so Easy E, no worries, bro. I got your super chats. I'm going to read them. Listen, this goes for all of my mods. Ask me. Okay, when it comes to super chats, ask me before you make any moves, okay? Super chats are not something, like, it's very, 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 very extreme circumstances that I would ever delete a super chat or remove them. So please, mods, don't ever remove super chats. It's okay. You know what? All right, listen, so there's clearly some confusion here. You're saying, let me explain. I only saw the trans thing, so I was like, oh, no. Oh, shit, this ain't good. It's okay. Like I said, Easy E, I still have your chats, bro. They're going to get read. But, yeah, it was a continuation from a little joke from last night's stream. So I'm gonna read them momentarily here. But, yeah, I just need to make sure that everybody's aware. When it comes to super chats, definitely ask me before you do that shit, bro. Because I appreciate people looking out, but, you know, again, these are people paying money, supporting the channel, and I do not want to see them, you know. So, Easy E, my apologies for that, man. No worries. Still gonna these chats here. All right, so Easy E, I'm gonna read those chats in just a moment. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read Easy E's chats first. And then New Soul 9, I'm going to come back to what you said because we're going to have a conversation there. So Easy E said here, Logan, formerly known as Olga, decides to transition after his transgender black daughter is killed by an alt-right man from Alabama. The doctor chooses not only to change Logan's sex, but also give him adamantium claws. Logan is jolted awake by flashbacks of the day his daughter was murdered. He quickly realizes he's strapped to a hospital bed. Consumed by rage, sharp claws emerge from his knuckles. It's amazing, dude. I mean, look, Wolverine, bro. That's what's coming. Wolverine. For those who don't know, you know what makes this so just out of like abrupt and out of nowhere is I streamed late last night and now I'm streaming again earlier. So there's like, you know, there's different people here than there were some same, you know, some of the same viewers, of course, but different viewers today. And they're probably very confused, but we were talking all about Wolverine and Insomniac. And, you know, we got into some conversations during yesterday's stream about, you know, the culture wars and stuff. And Eazy-E was making a joke about how this is what they're going to do. They're going to come out with Wolverine. And Eazy-E wanted to let me know how the story's going to go, how it's going to play out. So, but Eazy-E, dude, I appreciate the super chats, man. I really do. That's very kind of you, very generous. I'm sorry that there was clearly some extreme confusion happening with the mods. I do apologize for that, Eazy-E, but you know, we've settled all that now. So, thank you for the support button. Thank you for those nightmares as well. So, okay, let's Wokeborn 2. Oh man, Wokeborn 2. We also are going to go back to New Soul 9 here. New Soul 9, hopefully... Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by the chat. Woke yourself. Oh, man, you guys are going nuts. New Soul 9, hopefully that answers your question of what I believe to be like mismanagement. Mismanagement is, I think, when a development team is, you know, if they're having problems or they're having struggles, it's critical for the management above them to be able to know how to handle that, right? Like it's different in all circumstances. There's always development issues. Do you cancel it? Do you delay it? Do you give them, you know, more money if they need it? Do you give, you know, what do you do? What do you do? It's also important to understand that with bad management, also, bad management can lead to an erosion of talent. So if you have talented developers and talented studios, but you have bad management, it can be corrosive. And we've seen that happen all throughout the industry where it's just like teams being asked to work on things they don't want to work on, or teams not being given the proper amount of time or budget, or teams being micromanaged where, you know, the publisher says, we need you to make this exact game, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the game you're going to make. And even if the development team says we're having trouble or that's not working for us. So, yeah, that's what I consider mismanagement. And to be clear, it's not just Microsoft. Sony has had mismanagement issues as well, and it seems like to an extent they're having a little bit of mismanagement here with some of the, you know, live service games potentially. But I do think that good, proper, skilled management is a massive difference maker at the end of the day when it comes to the games that we end up getting and the results that are produced. But to get back to your first thing here, I'm going to reread it. You're saying, MBG, you need to be okay with people calling Horizon and God of War mediocre. I don't know how you think people are delusional the same way that people consider Gears 6 and Forza mediocre regardless of its graphics and gameplay. So to be clear, I do think that there is a distinct difference between a video game being objectively mediocre and a video game feeling like it's tried and true to a degree in which it might be considered a little bit stale. So the games you mentioned, Gears, Gears 6, we don't know about yet, but the last Gears game, I think it was Gears 5. I think that's just what they called it, right? Gears 5. And then a new Forza. Forza, I don't know, man. I'll just stick with Forza Horizon. Okay, I'm just going to stick with that because I've heard bad things about the latest Forza. So we'll just stick with Forza Horizon. These games are tried and true to a degree in which, you know, they're, 5 entries deep. It's a formula. It is, to an extent, rinse and repeat. And I think what happens is some people express that they're getting a little bit tired of it. Like, you know, they don't mind it. Like, oh yeah, Gears and Forza, or even right now, like Spider-Man 2. It's like, yeah, we like this, but of course we want new stuff as well. And I think what happens is a certain vocal group of people come out and they scream and they say, no, it's mediocre, it's not good. And that's where things become problematic, because it's like a game can be objective. Like Spider-Man 2 is a prime example of this, because it just released, or even Starfield could be an example of this, where it's like these games are objectively good games in more than just one or two ways, and people are very much enjoying these games. But I think, well, maybe Starfield doesn't fit this mold too much, because Starfield, it was in development for a long time, and it's not like a sequel. So just sticking to Spider-Man 2, a big complaint that some people have had with Spider-Man 2 is it just feels like it's rinse and repeat. It's more the same. And it's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't mean it's a mediocre game. Like, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. And that's where I think, like, when people, if somebody, because you're referring to basically what we talked about last night, where I think somebody said that Horizon Forbidden West is mediocre, right? And I pushed back against that, saying I feel like that's a little bit of delusion right there. That like I could understand if you're not into Horizon, but to call Forbidden West mediocre just seems to me like objectively false. Like, it's just not true. And I think that that's where the differentiation lies there, in that people can say, hey, we don't, we're getting a little bit tired of the Sony formula, God of War, Horizon, so on and so forth. Like, it just feels like it's more of the same. People could say that, and I think that's fair. Like, yeah, that you could criticize Sony for that right now, and we want some different types of games. That's fine. But I think there's just a complete difference between saying that and saying, yeah, that's a mediocre game. Like, it's not. It's just not. If you play Horizon Forbidden West, it's doing many things expertly, like very, very well. Very well. Doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean you have to sing its praises and say it's a 10 out of 10 game of the year. No, you don't have to. But I just think that that's where we have to differentiate these things, where, Gears 6, for example, assuming they don't make any dramatic change fundamentally to what Gears is, it's going to be that exact thing. It's going to be more of the same, tried and true. So people are going to feel tired of it, but it's not going to be a bad game. Like, Gears 5 was not a bad game, So I think in a way, New Soul 9, we're kind of coming to some kind of agreement here, where it's like, we can acknowledge that these games are objectively good, but that some people aren't going to dislike them for certain reasons. But one of those reasons shouldn't be that they're bad games. Oh man. Abdul Rahim. I'm just going to say your first name. I'm probably destroying it. I don't know if I said it correctly, but I want to give Abdul Rahim, again, I'm struggling with the pronunciation here, man. I'm sorry. Got to give him a big shout out, because he actually decided he wanted to become a channel member today and did just that. So, my friend, welcome. Just call him Abdul. Yeah, I guess maybe that would be easier. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm just going to read it. Just call him Abdul. Yeah, I guess that would be the easier thing to do, right? Trying to pronounce the whole thing and just making it worse. It's just getting worse as I go further. But Abdul, thank you so much, man, for becoming a channel member. I really do appreciate that. Big shout out to all of my channel members and all of you guys who show your support. It means a lot. And without it, yeah, again, it would be a struggle to continue doing these streams. So thank you for that. And we have Anonymous Boss, member for 5 months. He says, "What's up, MBG? I have never, ever played Gears. I've heard 1, 2, and 3 are really good. Do you think it's a strong competition against something like Wolverine?" I'm going to say no, just because they're going to be like they're just completely different games. Gears of War is it's a third-person shooter. The Gears games are pretty good. I mean, they've never been like bad. I don't know that they, I don't know that Gears 6 is going to reach the same level as like Gears 2 did or Gears 3 back in the day, but they're still, I think they're just still considered like high caliber games. But yeah, Wolverine is not going to be comparable to Gears in any way other than maybe they're both going to be third person games, and that's about it. You're saying competition in sales, you meant. Okay. No. So something we should probably establish here is that Sony is now going to have the advantage going forward that because they're not putting their games day one into a service, it's a situation where they're going to get more sales for games like Wolverine. To whereas games like Gears, they are going to drop day one into Game Pass, and there's no denying. Like there's no denying that Gears is not going to sell as well as it could have, because it's going to launch day one into Game Pass. So when it comes to comparing them sales wise, no, dude. Wolverine's gonna. I mean, I don't want to sit here and just like say like it's gonna definitely sell more than the next Gears game, but realistically, it probably will. I mean, it's got Marvel on it. Wolverine's a pretty well-known character, and the only way you're going to be able to get it is by buying it. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question there, Anonymous Boss. Guys, we're going to move into the first topic here. I've seen some people saying that there's no way, like no chance that Sony's going to get an exclusive PS5 game from FromSoftware. I wouldn't be so sure about that, guys. Look, I'm not saying that I can guarantee it, but let's go over the news here. Elden Ring, Dark Souls developer FromSoftware beefing up for multiple new PS5 games. This is being reported by Push Square. FromSoftware may have a long history dating all the way back to 1994's Kingsfield on the PS1, but it's become an industry darling in more recent years. The veteran developer has unexpectedly discovered mainstream success with titles like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, and even the sixth installment of its formerly niche mecha series Armored Core attracted a significant success earlier this year. Now, according to IGN Japan, the Tokyo-based team is hosting a massive recruitment drive as it seeks to bolster its studio for, quote, multiple new projects, end quote. Among the listings, it's looking for engineers, artists, programmers, sound designers, PR representatives, and much more. Essentially, every role associated with game development you can think of is mentioned here. Those interested are invited to register ahead of November 30th with a selection of online briefings scheduled for December, with multiple webinars planned expected to outline the exact specifics of each role. It's possible we may learn more about what the developer has planned. In fact, we wouldn't be surprised if it announced a couple of new in-production projects to help with recruitment. We know that the developer is working on an expansion for Elden Ring, but it's likely this is nearing completion now. Beyond that, though, the aforementioned Armored Core 6 is already out, and it looks like it'll be turning its attention to the next big things. And so, yeah, this is obviously a driving factor here where, FromSoftware making it clear they have multiple big projects that they're working on and going into full production. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning Sony is because I want to remind people that it was announced back in October of last year that Sony made a pretty, I'd say, relatively significant investment in FromSoftware. This was reported by VGC, and they say here, Sony's investment in FromSoftware could lead to FromSoftware properties being used in PlayStation Productions projects. While discussing the company's purchase of a minority stake in the Elden Ring developer, PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst told Reuters, you should think of the collaboration on, he said, you should think of this collaboration on the game development side first and foremost, but it's also not unthinkable with our PlayStation Productions efforts that we explore opportunities. And so this was a direct quote from Herman Hulst. He straight up said it himself that they are investing in FromSoftware due to game development, for the game development side first and foremost. I think people are kind of delusional, we're using that word again, But honestly, a little bit delusional thinking that it's unlikely. It's actually extremely likely FromSoftware is going to make an exclusive PS5 game because they've always done that. They did it with the PS3 with Demon's Souls. They did it with the PS4 with Bloodborne. And now Sony made a significant investment into the actual studio, saying it's for game development and PlayStation production stuff as well. Why would anybody think they're not going to make a PS5 exclusive? It seems kind of like silly to me. Now, I understand maybe some people view it as like they got a lot bigger now. Like they're much bigger than they ever were. So maybe because of that, there's no reason for them to. But I don't know, man. If I had to guess, I think Sony is absolutely working with FromSoftware as a major partner to work on either a new IP or Bloodborne 2 or something along those lines. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. Sony's not stupid. They know how much people want Bloodborne 2. And I think they are also smart enough to know we probably shouldn't make it without FromSoftware. You're saying copium? No, I don't think so. Again, if there wasn't the evidence, not even the evidence, but the direct quote from Herman Hulst, you should think of our collaboration from the game development side first and foremost. I mean, he straight up said, we're working with FromSoftware on a game development front. I don't know what people expect, what conclusion they expect me to come to. We have Exley 3000. Exley the legend comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for us guys. That actually brings us up to 6 members. Wait, what is going on here? Hold on now. What is going on? So, quick question for you guys, because I did update yesterday the membership. Let me check. Oh, there we go. Exley there you go. There's the Joel I was looking for. Exley 3000 comes in and drops 5 membership gifts on the community, bringing us up to 6 members on the day. Exley, thank you so much, my friend. Always great support from you and others here on the channel. Good stuff. W's in the chat for Exley. You guys are already going nuts. Love to see it. Let me see here. We have New Soul 9 with another super chat. And I appreciate it, buddy. You're saying here, MBG, I disagree. There's no such thing as an objectively good game in the entertainment industry because many people have their own idea on how they want the story to be like. And Marvel Spider-Man 2, for example. Well, see, New Soul 9, I'm going to have to push back here just a little bit. I'll tell you why in just a second, but we also have Corey Landiga. Corey Landiga coming in and dropping a membership as well, following up Exley, keeping the membership train going, bringing us up to 7 members. Corey, really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate you guys always showing incredible support here. W's in the chat for Corey. W's in the chat for Exley. And really quick, Ice Queen Gaming. It looks like you used your milestone chat. And so I don't know. I don't know if you said something. I don't know. It's not showing up. So either way, I appreciate you being a member for 4 months, Ice Queen Gaming. But New Soul 9, I am going to have to push back a little bit here because no, there is a certain amount of objectivity when it comes to evaluating video games. Like, I understand what you're saying. Like, there are many subjective sides, but it's like, I'm trying to think of a good example to use. I think a good example would be Hogwarts Legacy, right? A game that came out earlier this year. Hogwarts Legacy is objectively a very good game. Not because of the fact that it's attached to a big property like Harry Potter. It, like, objectively what it's doing, right? Like, the different mechanics at play, the way things seamlessly come together. You know, it's it's pretty much open world. They're just objectively doing things well. to a degree in which it's like you don't have to like it. Like if you don't like J.K. Rowling and you don't like all that stuff, you don't have to like the game. But this is where you saw the reason why I'm using Hogwarts Legacy as a great example of this is there was a review that came out, right? There was a review that came out for Hogwarts Legacy where they gave it like a 0 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10. And it was like they made it clear it was because they just didn't like J.K. Rowling. And I called bullshit on that because it's like you're completely shitting on all the work that they put into this game that, again, objectively, like they're doing many things well and competently in the video game development space. But you know, you're going to get somebody out here that's like, no, it's a 0 out of 10. It's a 1 out of 10. And that's where I'm saying, like, that review is like, I know reviews are opinions, but they're objectively wrong. Like, you can't even call that a review because it's not a review. That's just somebody hating. And that's why I'm saying, like, when we have these discussions about the gaming industry, there are always going to be people who are going to want to say, well, this is bad and this is trash. And they'll always be able to, like, you know, well, it's just my opinion. And that's true. But opinions can just flat out be wrong sometimes, man. Like, straight up. You know, people will try to go against facts. Say, well, it's just my opinion. It's like, doesn't fucking matter. You're just wrong. You can mask it with it's an opinion as much as you want. It's wrong. And that's all I'm trying to say, where it's like, at the end of the day, people have to be able to just be a little bit more honest about what they're seeing. And if they can do that, you can begin to separate these things where, for example, even if you're like the amount of people that I've seen saying that they don't like Spider-Man 2, right? Like they don't like the story or they don't like the direction they went in. And they might say like, because they didn't like the direction the story went in or the way they handled the characters and maybe even this, some of the side missions and whatnot, they'll basically say, so I didn't like the game at all. It's just a bad game. Well, then I'll have to ask, well, how do you feel about the traversal? God, why can't I say that word? Mechanics. How do you feel about that? Do you think they handled the traversal well? And they can't say no. They can't. Because that would be like, again, you can say you don't like what they chose to do, but it doesn't make it bad. And to me, that it's just, you know what I mean? It's like you start to like kind of split hairs here, right? Where it's like, how far are we going to take this? Just call it like, you want to say you don't like the story and the certain. It's like me with The Last of Us Part 2, right? The Last of Us Part 2 is objectively a good video game. Objectively. And anybody who plays that and can't see that, like in terms of video game development, like programmers, game design, level design, voice acting, mocap, the level of detail, like objectively it's good. I didn't like it. But even I can say like it's objectively a well-made video game. That's exactly what I'm trying to speak to here. Where there's too much of this nonsense online where it's like, oh, well, it's either trash or it's gold. And it's like, it's either the biggest failure or it's untouchable. It's like that. None of those things really actually exist. So News 09, you're definitely correct in that everybody has their own idea of what they want in a game. But there has to be, and there just simply is a baseline. There is a simple baseline of what needs to be there to have a competent game at all, let alone a good game. And we need to, I think, sometimes identify those things. And yeah, so either way, though, I appreciate the super chats, New Soul 9. Definitely leading to some interesting conversations here. I have a super chat from Anonymous Boss who says, perfect thing what Sony is doing, investing in exclusive PS5 games. Are you ready for the power of the PS5 Pro soon, MBG? Maybe we get a Killzone. I would love to say we'll get a Killzone, and we just might, because one of the rumors is that apparently Sony is beginning to kind of go back and look at their catalog of games and their IP and start handing them out to different publishers and developers. Killzone could be one of those games. If Guerrilla doesn't want to make a Killzone, they could find hopefully a competent first-person shooter developer and task them with making a new Killzone. That would be great. I think a lot of people would like that. Am I ready for the Pro? I am ready for the Pro. I am. Spider-Man 2 looks amazing, and I like all the different graphical options, but at this point I can safely say that I'm looking forward to seeing what Sony's going to deliver with the Pro. I'm hoping that when I play Wolverine, it'll be on a Pro. Yeah. You miss Infamous? We could, yeah. Who knows if we'll get another Infamous? Yeah, Sony is seemingly trying to really go off of build off of what they've been doing, like I said, with partnering. This is why it's not at all weird, I think. And I think, I don't know, I just think people are being a little bit silly when they're like, there's no way Sony's going to get a exclusive FromSoftWare game. Like, actually, there's a really, 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 really good chance they will. And I think people need to prepare themselves for that. Again, I don't know that it'll be Bloodborne 2, but let me see here. Also have Hickzock saying, I can't agree. Gears 4 and 5 are shadows of the Fantastic Trilogy. Same as Halo Infinite. Mid games from mid devs. Horizon Forbidden West is better than both, but repetitive. Well, so I probably shouldn't say anything about Halo Infinite because I don't know, man. I got this comment and it got a bunch of upvotes on one of my last streams where they were like, you need to stop talking about Halo Infinite. Like, the majority of the Halo Infinite community feels like it's in the best place it's been in. One of the better Halo games. It's in the best place it's been in since like Halo 3 or something. And so it's like, well, I can't say anything about that because I'm not playing it. So maybe that's true. But I'm just basing what I'm saying off of like when it launched and the troubles it had. But but that's the thing, man, is like, Hicksock, I think that's fine, but I also can't agree with that because it's like, well, I don't know, man. Gears 4 and 5 don't like, in my opinion, they don't have to be as good as the original trilogy to still be good, competent video games. Same with Halo. I mean, you're saying you think Horizon Forbidden West is better. I do too, no doubt. Like, I think it's like, if I had to choose between which I'm going to play, I'm going to pick Horizon Forbidden West. But I guess I'm just saying, like, I just don't see anything about Gears 4 or 5 that makes me think, wow, that's a shit show. Like, that actually looks like a bad video game. I could see it being maybe like falling short in some ways, but to each their own, man. At the end of the day, to each their own. Nas, member for 2 months, says, people like shitting on Sony. Yeah, they've had blunders, but can you imagine a video game industry without them? They've paved the way for single player games. No, Sony does deserve a lot of credit for a lot of the things they've done over the generations. I think there's this kind of weird back and forth with PlayStation and Xbox fans sometimes. Saying breaking from Paul Tassi, layoffs at Bungie. Ooh. That sounds not great. Let me see if I can find that here. He tweets out 10 minutes ago, there appear to be layoffs going on at Bungie as we speak. I'm very sorry for those affected. Oh, okay. I mean, that sucks, but this person says here, wait, Sony paid $3.6 billion with an estimated $1 billion for talent retention, and now they're laying people off. Sound strategy. Well, we need more details before we can come to any conclusions, because again, Bungie's autonomous now. That could have been a Bungie decision. I doubt it, but it is possible. You're saying Sony falling off more and more every day. We done watch them literally burning down this year. Sony's having a lot of internal problems. I mean, like I said, we've talked extensively about, yeah, right now there's a lot of smoke, you know, but we're going to have to see if there's a fire, and if so, how bad it is. But dude, it is truly bizarre though, because when you $1 billion was sent aside to retain the talent at Bungie, and now there are layoffs. I mean, is it a coincidence that we're hearing this about Bungie layoffs the very next day after we got a rumor that claims that Sony is basically pivoting away from their live service endeavor? I mean, we just talked yesterday about how, is it possible Sony could get rid of Bungie? You know, spin them off or sell them after acquiring them if they really are pivoting away from live service. Well, I will tell you, hearing about layoffs it's not exactly that, right? It's not like the end of Bungie or Bungie being done with Sony already, but it lets us know something. That's for sure. It lets us know something. Trouble in paradise, maybe. You're saying my thing is you're watching the smoke 40 blocks away, but saying I don't see the fire yet, so let's wait. You got a rumor, but we know board members wouldn't pivot off of game as a service. Too much money lost. Well, I get what you're saying, man. I guess it's just because it's like, listen, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to read these super chats, but I think this is a good point you're bringing up, and it's a good opportunity for me to acknowledge something. Let's say, smash my mic. Let's just say things are the shit is truly hitting the fan at Sony. Let's just say that, okay? I mean, it's bad. It's just a hypothetical. Let's just run with it. The shit is hitting the fucking fan, and it's a disaster. It turns out that Jim Ryan really did crash the fucking ship into an iceberg, and there's panic, right? Even if that is true, obviously that's not ideal, but you know what? I just want to remind people that we've seen this happen before. Okay? We have. We've seen it with pretty much all of the major video game platform holders where they fuck up bad. And it becomes a sink or swim situation. It becomes a your back is against the wall situation. What are you going to do? Go. And I will say this. If Sony is in a really bad situation right now, where they basically have to completely reroute and say, you know what? This is collapsing, and we need to, again, like from an internal studio. I know they're about to break a record. I'm just saying where it's clear that it's like we have to change shit right fucking now if we don't want this thing to like all collapse on itself and sink to the bottom. I'm not necessarily opposed to that because like that would be a hell of a thing to witness. It would be a hell of a thing to see Sony turn to their fan base right now and their player base and say, those of you who are buying and have been supporting the console and the single player games, we need to lean on you now. And we're going to make you fucking happy because you're the ones that have got PlayStation to where it is. Same thing with the studios. We're going to let the studios make the games that they want to make because these are the studios that got PlayStation where they are. If that's what's happening, I am not opposed to that. I would welcome that. I'm not saying there wouldn't be some obviously collateral damage along the way, and it would, again, mistakes are made, right? And they got to be corrected, but that sounds great to me. And Hellbound 1981, Hellbound, another legend. Thank you so much, man. I'm sorry you weren't able to catch the stream yesterday after what happened, but everything seems to be in working order now. So Hellbound, thank you so much. He comes in, he drops 5 more memberships. Guys, that brings us up to 12 members on the day. So we are getting ever closer to the goal here. 12 members. We're almost at the halfway point. So thank you to everybody who continues to drop membership gifts, man. Hellbound says no problem. Yeah, W's in the chat for Hellbound. But yeah, hopefully that kind of squares things away a little bit here where obviously if Sony's going to pursue something like live service games, I'm not wishing for their failure. I would be open to seeing a couple of those games succeed. But if it turns out that they're like, you know what, we fucked up, we made a mistake, we wasted a lot of time and money on this, and we got to reverse course here, I'm not going to be opposed to that either. I think most PlayStation fans wouldn't be, frankly. But that's why I'm saying, like, even if you want me to say, like, Sony's on fire and shit's hitting the fan, like, what do you want? Like, what am I supposed to say? I guess they're dead? It's over? Time to hang it up? Wave the white flag? Like, that's not how this is going to work at all. B. Flesher says, MBG, my only fear is that there really is a fire and things are going poorly and the next 2 years are going to be really dry from first party. Now, that I would say is a good, genuine fear to have. But I will say this. Holy Lord, have mercy on Sony's metaphorical soul here, if that were to be the case, because that would mean they've mismanaged every single one of their studios. And I need that to sink in for a moment. The idea that we're going to have a dry 2024 and possibly 2025, that would mean every single studio at Sony was severely mismanaged. Not just like 3 or 4, every single one. And none of them have anything ready to go. That would be fucking wild. That's honestly nearly impossible. So I can't guarantee that means every game we get will be a banger. But I think it's more likely that we will get some bad game drops or some mediocre game drops rather than a dry year or a dry spell. Again, like Concord is supposed to come out next year. Herman Hulse said Concord is great and he thinks players are going to love it. It's like, okay, Herman, let's see it. And it could come out and be very... I'm not saying it will be or that I want it to be. I'm just saying it could be very disappointing where it's like, you know, saying Jason Schreier just broke some news. Ooh. Really? See, I don't know. I'm gonna have to check here. Did he? Okay. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Guys, I'll get to the super chats, but we have some breaking news here 4 minutes ago from Jason Schreier. Destiny 2 developer Bungie is the latest PlayStation studio to have layoffs. The full scope isn't clear yet, but CEO Pete Parsons emailed the company this morning to say that they'll be having a team meeting today to talk about some news today coming out of Bungie as staff are informed. Okay. Sorry, all right, I didn't mean to hype up. I thought he was dropping something more substantial. The Jim Ryan effect coming out in full force now. Jim Ryan really destroyed PlayStation. You know what? You really have to start to ask questions now, guys. You do. Like, did Jim Ryan actually really fuck up? I mean, did he really fuck up with the whole we got to pursue Bungie, we're going live service? I don't know. What I do know is layoffs are not good, of course. Maybe just economic stuff. I don't know, man. I think I'm being a bit extreme. I have to go with my gut here. My gut is telling me I think Jim bet on the wrong horse. And I think he tried to keep the core PlayStation fan base as happy as possible while betting on the wrong horse. That's what my gut tells me. My gut is telling me that Jim says, we got you covered, guys. We got more God of War. We got more Horizon. We're going to have a launch lineup. Don't worry. We're supporting the PS5. We got Spider-Man 2. Don't worry. But behind the scenes, Jim's like, yeah, we're going all in on live service. 12 live service games. Bunch of studios working on it. We're going to buy studios. We're going to buy Bungie. Maybe Jim just didn't know, man. Maybe he just really didn't understand that particular side of the gaming industry, where maybe Jim was too laser focused on the numbers, right? Maybe Jim saw, look at these live service games. The top 10 most played PlayStation games every single month, all live service games. Just money rolling in. And we only get 30% of that. What if we could get 100%? It's not a bad idea on paper. It like on paper, from a businessman perspective, it makes total sense. Well, we should make our own. But maybe he just didn't quite understand the nature, the difficult nature of making live service games. Maybe he thought, okay, it is difficult. Let's buy Bungie. They'll help us. If we have Bungie by our side, we got this. Maybe that's not the case at all. Maybe it turns out that Bungie has their own way of doing things. And that way of doing things is not necessarily going to jive with the way most PlayStation studios do things. Turns out, maybe if you buy Bungie and you tell them, go help our boys out, go show them a thing or two, go guide them in making these live service games. Turns out maybe if you have teams that just don't want to make live service games, then it doesn't matter how much expertise you have guiding these teams. I don't know. The timing, we have to talk about the timing, guys. We do. We have to talk about it. All of these things are happening at one time. And I don't believe for a second they're not interconnected. I'm not saying it's like the house is burning down, it's all over, but I think it's more than obvious that they have, they have a connection here. There's something going on. Anyway, News Soul 9 Thank you for the $10 super chat, man. You're saying, MBG, I agree, but baseline or what needs to be there is subjective as well. To many gamers, just like excuse me, God, I don't know why I'm burping like that. Single A versus AAA, they have a different baseline, yet somehow gamers find it valuable. Well, I'll be honest with you, New Soul 9. I feel like we're beginning to like split hairs here, where the further we go with this conversation, I think it almost becomes a philosophical debate. As funny as that may sound, I really do think it begins to turn into a deeper philosophical debate, because I mean, we're talking about video games, of course, and like what objectively makes a good video game, what is objective, what is subjective. But I feel like, dude, you know, if we keep going down this road, it's like we could start looking at almost everything in the waking world and start really asking deeper questions, like what is real? I mean, what is real? What is reality? Like objectively, what is it? What is consciousness? I'm just saying, it's like I'll say, this is what I'll say to you, New Soul 9. It's the best thing I feel like I could say to you and everybody. Just have your own feelings on it and let that be what matters most. I mean, I know that sounds so simple, like, of course, but I'm going to have my own opinions. Of course, you're going to have your own opinions. I'm going to say look, to me, at this point in time, I don't know that facts really matter, which is a crazy thing to say. But I've noticed that the internet and social media in particular it warps reality, or whatever reality is. It does. It warps things, man. It twists them. It distorts them. And that's why I just don't know that facts matter anymore, because I guess it's a simple question. How much can facts really matter if no one cares about them? I don't know. I wish I had the answer, but New Soul 9, I think New Soul 9 is trying to get me to go into a deep philosophical conversation here. I think that's what New Soul 9 is actually trying to achieve. Feelings don't care about your facts. You're saying facts always matter, LMAO. You see, though, that's the nature of the internet. They only matter as much as the people decide they matter. That's just to me, that's the reality of the internet. But no, man, look, New Soul 9, I'll just say this, and this is because if I keep going, I'm just going to go down a rabbit hole. I will say that if somebody says to me, I think Horizon Forbidden West is mediocre, I will turn to them and simply say, wow, you're allowed to feel that way. I disagree, and I'm allowed to feel my way, and we will both move on with our lives and enjoy what it is we want to enjoy. There you go. That's what I'll say, New Soul 9. I guess that's the best thing I could say at this point, because at some, just, again, you start splitting hairs and it's like, well, where does this really lead? I think at the end of the day, it leads to that, man. My opinion is stronger. I'll still have my opinions and I'll still voice them, and people will disagree or agree with them. But at the end of the day, we all are just going to gravitate towards what it is we want to gravitate towards, MBG, ever the diplomat. I try my best, man. I try my best, actually. All right, we have PS Gamer here with a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. He says, MBG, you should start Alan Wake 2 soon. It's my game of the year. The game screams new game quality, or NG quality, and that's coming from Spider-Man 2. When you say, what is NG? The game screams NG quality. Can you tell me what you mean by that? I might be missing something here. Maybe something very obvious. Saying that's coming after Spider-Man 2 and love every second of it. Did you check the Remedy rumor working on a PS exclusive? Oh, you meant Naughty Dog. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so when it comes to the rumor of Remedy working on a Sony exclusive, I can't source that. I can't find it, PS Gamer. You're going to have to help me out here. That doesn't surprise me, though. You're saying Naughty Dog level quality. I'm telling you, Sony, if they're not working with Remedy, they should be working with Remedy. I'm about to buy Alan Wake 2 now because, I just platinumed Spider-Man 2. I didn't want to move on to Alan Wake 2 until I finished Spider-Man 2 completely. You're saying it's from Zubitech? Okay. Zubitech usually has a source. Maybe I'll look into it. But I will say this. You think Remedy's overrated? I don't think so. Honestly, I don't. I really like Remedy. And I'll be curious to see with Alan Wake 2 how I feel about it. But everything I've seen of it looks really, really good. I mean, I gotta say, it's a game that really is speaking to me. And I'm very much looking forward to playing it and giving my thoughts on it. And I'll be honest, guys. I'm not going to talk about what I think my personal game of the year is until I complete Alan Wake 2 first. Because Alan Wake 2 does look like it could be a potential game of the year contender for me. So I appreciate the super chat, PS Gamer, and that definitely gets me more excited to play it, for sure. I just wish there was a physical copy. Sony should pick up NeoWiz. They made Lies of P, right? That would be interesting. Daniel Pedrini, thank you so much for the $10 super chat, man. You're saying Sony just need 1 or 2 games as a service that make recursive money, but it is really impossible to create only 1 or 2 games and hit it the first time. I think that's why Jim tried 12 games. Yeah, I don't think Jim's strategy on paper is a bad one, but I think that he was maybe blinded by the numbers in a way, the money, the dollar signs. And I understand that it's like, well, that's greed, but I just think for somebody in his position, it's more like maybe it just felt like it's a risk worth taking. But maybe they got a rude wake-up call, man. Maybe it was Naughty Dog. I'm beginning to think it may have been the Showcase and Naughty Dog. These two things combined, because that Showcase got demolished for good reason. It got demolished because it was PlayStation Studios mainly focusing on live service CGI trailers. It got demolished. And then after that, one of the only multiplayer games that people were actually excited to hear about and learn about, we never heard anything about. And we find out that apparently it either got canceled or is on ice. And there was some problems with Naughty Dog. That could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's what we heard in the kind of rumors recently. Again, you just kind of, if you like piece all of these things together, that seems to be exactly what it's pointing to, is they just, if Naughty Dog if you can't get Naughty Dog to make a good Last of Us multiplayer game, what hope do you have, frankly, for these other teams? Because the template is right there. I refuse to believe that this Last of Us multiplayer game was bad. Maybe it would be a bad live service game. Like, it's like, yeah, this is not going to be sustainable for the next 5 years or more. But there's no way they made a bad video game. And that, again, I'm just saying, like, I have a feeling the quality was there. And again, because everything's right there. The Last of Us Part 2 mechanics are right there, already finished and done. The assets, the enemy design, the weapons, everything's there. It just has, it's almost like like kind of the puzzle pieces are there. You just got to put it together in the right order. And I don't know, man. I just get this feeling that Naughty Dog ended up making a really good multiplayer game that, if I had to guess, was finite. Where it's like, you play it and you're like, this is incredible, but it's like you'll be done with it in maybe like 30 or 40 hours. And there's really not going to be much reason to keep playing it, for the next 6 months, let alone the next 5 years. And that might be what burst the entire bubble, where it's like the type of success that Jim Ryan is chasing with these games as a service is, again, as Daniel points out here, because he's absolutely right, like, is not something you're likely to hit the first time out the gate. Probably not. It's something that requires a lot of luck, and there's no other way to put it. But you could make a good multiplayer game. Yeah. I think that's a lot easier to just make something that's fun to play and enjoyable. But to see, this is why I think I've had mixed opinions on live service games for a while now. Because I've dumped a lot of time into live service games, but I'm going to be brutally honest right now. And this is just the truth. Every single live service game that I've ended up getting hooked on. You remember that saying from The Dark Knight where it's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain? That's basically what happens. Where I'll think about, like, PUBG is a game, for example, that I got pretty addicted to, where I'll never forget the first time I played PUBG, where I was like, I've never played anything like this. Like, this is amazing. And I got addicted to it, and I dumped probably well over 1,000 hours into it. But somewhere along the way, it lost its spark. I don't know when exactly it did, but along the way, it lost its spark. And I realized that the only reason I'm playing this is because it's routine. It's like comfort junk food at this point. It's not actually because I'm thoroughly enjoying it and getting anything out of it. And it's like the longer I remained on that hamster wheel, the more I realized that it's just like, God damn, like it became the villain, where it's like I started to hate the game. And like it was such a strange feeling, because I'm like, why would I hate it? And it's like, it's because, dude, I don't know. I don't want to say that video games are not meant to be played indefinitely like that, but it's just like, I don't know. I can even say the same thing with Dead by Daylight. I got hooked on Dead by Daylight. No pun intended there. And it had, like, I've played it for so long that it has just become routine, where it's like I'm numb to it. Like, I don't feel anything anymore with this game at all. Like, there's just nothing. It almost, more often than not, it just annoys me. And what I actually feel like is I should take a break from this game and maybe, like, go back to it in 6 months or something. Now, obviously, that's the opposite of what those developers want me to do. They don't want me to take a break. They want me to stay playing forever. But that's the thing, is like, if I just keep playing the same thing forever, I'm going to hate it. I just think that's the, I don't know, man. I think that's just the conclusion. The same thing happened with Call of Duty and everything else, where it's like, I don't know that this is really what I want from Sony. I'm open to it. I really wouldn't mind them succeeding in this area, because it would be good for them and their studios, and having that cushion of just a constant recurring cash flow. But I don't know, man. There's just something strange. I mean, I see it even, like, people who make videos about Destiny 2, where you could tell, like, they're just like, it's just tiring. It feels like it's impossible to keep up. I'm not saying that means Sony should just make finite multiplayer games, but fuck, man, like, what was so bad? Let me ask you this question, and maybe this is where Sony really should take a step back and reevaluate. Seriously, what's so bad about putting out a AAA single player game that has a multiplayer component? That, sure, maybe it's not as popular as Fortnite or GTA Online. Sure, maybe it's not even a live service. But you could throw some microtransactions in there. You already did it with The Last of Us multiplayer, Factions 1, and even Uncharted. And again, they weren't the most popular games, but they had communities that really cared. And they were, I just don't see, like, you could still make some money from these games. Maybe it's not the most money. It's not GTA Online money. Certainly not. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, exactly. Like, maybe this is what Sony should go back to, truthfully. Make a good multiplayer, then transition it to live service if it lands. That could work, yeah. I mean, that's another viable option. Evolve it over time. Because I'll tell you this, we're likely eventually going to get a Last of Us Part 3. That will have a multiplayer component. It will. Like, if this Last of Us multiplayer game really is on ice and they're not actually pursuing it anymore, like, it's not going to be a standalone game, they'll take that and they'll make a big multiplayer component to The Last of Us Part 3. That would be incredible. Like, that is actually, I think, what everybody wanted the first time around. And this very much reminds me of it's like the situation where it's like you had to have it all, so now you're going to have nothing. Now you're going to get nothing. And I feel like that's what's happening with Sony right now, where it's like we could have gotten a Factions 2 that shipped with The Last of Us Part 2, but because Jim Ryan and Sony's leadership said, no, we can't. We're not going to make enough money doing that. We need to have it be a standalone multiplayer game so we can make all the money. Now we see what it results in. Now you get nothing. There is no multiplayer game. There is no recurring revenue, and even the players get nothing now because it's like, well, I still have yet to experience any kind of Last of Us multiplayer, and I've been eagerly awaiting it for 4 years now. So maybe this is a clear sign that Sony should just pump the brakes. You don't have to have it all. Just be modest about it. And let that modesty, if it's meant to be, let it grow into something bigger. That's how I feel at this point. Well, dude, I'll tell you right now, man. I'll tell you right now. Next year, I'm going to be very, very curious to see how Fair Games and Concord turn out. Because Herman Hulst told me multiple times these are very good games that he thinks the PlayStation fan base will like. Well, I sure hope so, Herman, because we're seeing a lot of shuffling happening in Sony right now, and Herman Hulst seemingly still is the head of first party. I really hope we don't find out Herman was just basically saying yes, yes, yes to Jim Ryan and just basically grabbing anything he can that he thinks would have made Jim Ryan happy. I know his opinion is subjective, but it's just like, let's face it. There's a good chance, and I know people, so I saw some people like thinking I'm like hating on Fair Games. I'm not trying to hate on any of these games. I'm actually very much willing to give them a chance. I am. Their initial impressions, I'm practically indifferent to at this point, and they make me a little bit nervous, but I'm certainly willing to give them a chance. Listen, from the way I see it, there's a pretty decent chance that when we see the first gameplay of Fair Games, the PlayStation community is going to hate it. Like, they're just going to turn and be like, what the hell is this? And that's what it's not going to be me that decides, is what I'm trying to tell you. When we get the fair games gameplay, if it like comes out and then the general conversation, like everybody's basically saying like, this is, what are you doing, Sony? Like, this doesn't look good at all. I'm going to be looking at Herman and saying, dude, this is what you thought the PlayStation community would love? This. Again, assuming it's not good. I have a difficult time envisioning a scenario where fair games gameplay comes out and the PlayStation community underneath the official Fair Games gameplay reveal trailer on the official PlayStation YouTube channel with like 15 or 16 million subscribers. I just have a difficult time imagining I click on that video, it has hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million plus views, and all the comments are just like, this looks great. This is amazing. I can't wait to play this. Maybe it could turn out that way. It could, but I have a difficult time being that optimistic because I saw the way people reacted to the CG trailer. And I went and there was not a single positive comment on that trailer for Fair Games. And it's no offense to Jade Raymond. It's no offense to the developers working on this game, but it's like, you know, what's left to be said at that point? Like, you got, dude, you're going against the grain. Like, the fans have spoken and they said, this looks not good. Like, this isn't what we want. So I really hope the gameplay that you guys haven't shown yet is fucking phenomenal, because it's going to need to be. It's going to need to really be next level to win these people over. And that's what's weird about this whole situation, man. It's very strange. Strange times, I will say. What's the possible time we can see gameplay? I wish I could tell you. What I think is most likely, I think if it's true Sony's beginning to, like, I don't want to say panic, but okay, we got to start changing course here. If it's true they're making a bunch of changes with their, like, they're pivoting away from games as a service, they're not going to cancel all these games. They're at least going to try to get back some of the money on them and just see if maybe they get lucky. What I could see happening is them cramming some short gameplay trailers into their next showcase, but ensuring that that showcase has some banger gameplay or game reveals that the fan base is actually going to really care about. Because if they do that, they'll be able to be like, okay, here's the Fair Games and Concord gameplay. And it's like, if it's underwhelming, no one will care. If it's like, and here's, you know, Santa Monica Studios' new IP and Sony Ben's new IP or Ghost of Tsushima 2, like, everyone's going to focus on that. And, you know, maybe there will be some people that are like, oh, I thought, you know, Fair Games looked good or whatever. I think that might be the best course of action here, where you can't just put it out there to die on its own. Because, yeah, that's just not, I just don't think it'll go well. Paul Gannell with a $5 chat here. He says, how's everyone so pissed off someone hacked PlayStation, can't get back in it? Oh, I read that wrong. You're asking, how is everyone, you're saying someone hacked your PlayStation account and you can't get back in it. I'm really sorry to hear that, man. I hope you can get that sorted. I hope Sony helps you out. Sounds like things aren't going too great for you right now, Paul. You have to give us a follow-up at some point. That sucks, dude. But, I mean, I'm doing okay. I think everybody here, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think most people are doing okay today. I didn't ask you guys, how are you doing? How are you feeling? But Paul, I do appreciate the super chat, man, and good luck with that. New Soul 9 with another chat says, MBG, I'm not pushing philosophical in the philosophical area. I just want you to be okay with people calling Horizon and many other games mediocre and not call them delusional. Well, I can't promise anything, New Soul 9. Sorry, bro. I can't promise anything. I'll try my best because it's fine. But I can't make any promises because I guess that's just kind of the passionate side of me a little bit, right? Where it's like there are just some games that I don't know, I just feel really good about, and it sometimes just feels like I can't quite understand where some people are coming from, but I get what you're saying, bud. And it's like I said, the best place to end it for me is to each their own, man. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. But NewSell9, thank you so much for all the super chats, man. I really do appreciate the support you're showing. It's very kind of you. And we also have Daniel Pedrini again here saying, when we talk about Fortnite / GTA Online, we are talking about two projects of 10 billion each. Imagine you have a game of revenue of 10 billion. Call of Duty was responsible for Sony for 1 billion per year. That is the point. Well, you know, it's interesting that you bring this up, Daniel, because people have talked about live service games like they're a trend. And I've tried to tell people, like, live service games are not a trend. I think it seems like it's a trend because it's something that is being chased and there's a lot of failure, but it's not a trend. It is true that live service games are here to stay. I'm not saying that, for example, Fortnite will always be the most played game. It won't be, but something will take its place eventually. And what will take its place will be another live service game. I just think that, you know what it is? I think Sony needs to stop chasing things. Truthfully. I think more than anything. I think they need to stop, like, chasing. They need to stop worrying about the trails that others are blazing and following that. And I think what Sony should do, and I do worry a little bit about them right now. Again, maybe it's a good thing. Like, look, I don't want to speak for all of the PlayStation fan base. I'm not speaking for all the PlayStation fan base, but I know with what I'm about to say, there is I would say a relatively large group of PlayStation fans that will agree with this. Sony would do well to look at what they have achieved with their studios now and with the formula they have and realize that it's not that should be the only thing they ever focus on, but really nothing else should get in the way of that or replace it. And, you know, we've been covering what Herman Holst and even Jim has been saying for a while now, where they're like, we're not going to replace our single player games with live service games, you know? And I've always believed them, but it's like, okay, well, where are they? You know, like, where are the single player? I mean, we did get them. Yeah, we got God of War, Horizon, and Spider-Man 2, but it's like, okay, there's Wolverine, and what else? And now when we're asking this question, we're being met with, well, here's some layoffs. Oh, all right. Well, okay. What else? We're going to have a record-breaking holiday season. That's good. That's great. But where are the games? And that's where it's like, I guess I'm just saying, I really hope that Sony maybe came to the conclusion here, because what you're saying, Daniel, you're saying like GTA Online, Fortnite, these are like games these are projects like in the billions of dollars. And maybe Sony just realizes we're just not going to achieve that. And why would we? Listen, Gran Turismo might not be making the same amount of money as like Fortnite or whatever. It doesn't need to. Let it be what it is. See, this is where I have this conversation sometimes where it's like, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? That's what I don't like about live service games. in general is the whole concept of a live service game is it's never enough. It's never enough for the player. It's never enough for the developer. It's never enough for the publisher. It's just a hamster wheel. It's never enough. Oh, you did all these things and you unlocked all these things? Cool. Here's a bunch more shit to do. And that's fine. Like, if that's what people like, that's fine. But I guess it's just the entire philosophy around it is it's never about anything being enough. It's about just keep it going. And I think that when you think about PlayStation, that is not what PlayStation has ever been about. Like, that is almost the antithesis of PlayStation's philosophy. PlayStation is, it's not about not being, it's not about it not being enough. It's about giving you your money's worth and making it feel like this is something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it'll be worth it. It'll be worth the wait for it, and it'll be time well spent. And we will rinse and repeat that. And that's fine, because I think that's what the fans are okay with. But I do think things get really murky when it's like, and we're going to also follow the philosophy of it's never enough. I don't know, man. I was very optimistic, at least I tried to be very optimistic about what Sony was doing with their live service endeavors. And I'm not saying it's over. I don't think it is. Like, I think they're still going to pursue this avenue to an extent. But a part of me really is beginning to just hope, look, if they actually are running into problems, please just stop. Because believe me when I say the PlayStation fan base will not be upset. They will not. I mean, maybe a few select people will, but generally speaking, I think the PlayStation fan base would breathe a sigh of relief and say, okay, Sony, just get back to what you do best and, you know, be modest about it. Be modest about it. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. So, Daniel, thank you for the super chat. I have 2 super chats from New Soul 9. He says, when you call someone delusional, you are basically devaluing what they are saying as a person instead of simply saying, I disagree. You should look up the word delusional. It was basically invented to make a person sound crazy or devalue what they said. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Delusion is a strong word, certainly. And, you know, maybe that's just a byproduct of, in today's day and age, I think we throw around words that actually have, at least at one point in time, had weight and meaning to them, and they don't. But I guess in reality, if you think about it, that's kind of all I get what you're saying. Maybe pick my words more carefully or choose my words more carefully, because delusion is not necessarily the right thing, the right word to use, in the sense that I'm not trying to make somebody seem like, I don't want somebody to think they're like fucking crazy. And I say that because it's like, I think a lot of people do that these days to gaslight people. People do that to me all the time, and I don't like it. I don't like it, you know? It happens all the time on the internet, where it's like people are like using these words to define people, when in reality it's like, you know, they make you start to feel like you are a little bigger. They're gaslighting you, basically. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to gaslight anybody. But yes, a simple I disagree suffices, certainly. New Soul 9. New Soul 9 out here trying to teach me some lessons. He's like, let me tell you something, MBG. Gotta be careful. The words you use. Reminds me of that song, it's a Seether song. It's titled Words as Weapons. It's a good song. But New Soul 9, thank you so much, man. I do really appreciate all the support you're showing the channel today, man. All right, let me go. So, yeah, we did talk about the FromSoftWare. We did talk about the FromSoftWare news. They're recruiting for some big projects, and Sony has an investment in them, specifically 4 games. it seems like at least one of these new projects is very, very highly likely to be a PS5 exclusive. Now, I'm not saying that's officially confirmed. We're going to have to wait for that confirmation. But if they are working with FromSoftware on an exclusive, I imagine we will hear about that in the next year or so, maybe the next 12 months. What if it was announced at the Game Awards? That'd be pretty sick. That would actually be really good. You're saying, what's with all the tone policing? Say what you want on your stream, MBG. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I will obviously say what I want, but it's because I'm not opposed to, again, like hearing other people out. You know, I do want to say this too. I think a big problem on social media and in general with our society today is people are just unwilling to hear others out. Their ego is too big. They're too fragile. They're too insecure where it's like, I'm offended or I'm going to defend by getting angry and not even like, just listen to what somebody says. What's the worst that could happen? You just don't agree with them at all? Oh, man. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I don't think New Soul 9 is being rude at all. I think New Soul 9 is being, you know, he's just talking. As far as I'm concerned, he's just talking. It's not like he's sitting here saying, like, you can't say that. How dare you, MBG? No, he's just saying, you know, delusion is a strong word and saying how he views it. It's like, okay, yeah. I could get all offended and be like, I'll fucking say what I want, New Soul. I'll just say, like, you're delusional. Everybody's delusional. It's like, instead, I'm just taking a moment to reflect and think. It's not that serious at the end of the day. I mean, we're just chatting, you know? But I do think that happens too much on the internet, man, where it's just like, you know, people just get way too defensive way too quickly. And I think sometimes that can just lead to regressive conversation rather than something productive in any way. Everyone is out of order, says Ray. People want gotchas to feel good about themselves. Yeah. Yeah, that culture is very annoying. And Kitford comes in and drops a membership gift on us as well. Kitford is keeping the membership train alive and going today. Longtime member, also dropping a membership himself. I really do appreciate that, Kitford. Guys, let's get some W's in the chat.
Thank you.
For a longtime member, Kitford. Really appreciate it, bud. He brings us up to 13 members on the day, so we are getting ever closer to the halfway point of our goal, which is awesome to see. Thank you, guys. Review Scientology USA with a $5 chat says, PlayStation excels at elevating their studios, and with the price of a CD Projekt Red / Ubisoft, they can create 30 to 40 AAA games, also acquiring their respective developers. Yeah, that's another thing. When you think about all of the money potentially being invested into merger and acquisition, it is true that if you take just a portion of that money, it's true that it could be used to fund new studios being built from the ground up, which is very time consuming. That's a big problem with that. And it is risky, but yeah, man, I think Sony is just feeling like they have to keep growing. And that's a tough thing to go against because it's like, well, that's how every big company feels. But that's where it's like, I'm just not about the rapid growth, man. Like, just slow and steady wins the race in my book. Crooked Vulture is saying, don't use the word mediocre in relation to Xbox. Don't use the word delusional. Any more rules we need to know about? Well, here's the thing, Crooked Vulture. I get what you're saying, and the reality here is that we could choose to behave however we want. You can choose to be like, every person can choose to behave however they want, and everybody's going to have their own rule set for themselves, or none for that matter. What I've learned is that It doesn't really matter how. Let me put it this way. If you're doing something that you believe is right or good in the hopes that other people will also do it, you're doing it for the wrong reason and you're going to lose. Like, you're just going to get burned. Anything you do, you got to do for yourself. You got to know why you're doing what you're doing, why you're behaving the way you're behaving. Period. End of discussion. Because I have learned that, for example, here on this channel, I could dedicate a stream, if I wanted to, apologizing to Xbox fans, telling them I was wrong, telling them that I think Microsoft is actually great and they're going to do amazing. And there would still be people that would run with that and basically try to destroy me, you know? And it's like, that's the whole thing, man. Anything you do, you got to do it for yourself first, because no one out there, you can't do it for any other reason. That's all. So when I sit here and I say that I'm evaluating the use of the word delusion, that's for me. That's not, and you know, I appreciate New Soul 9 saying it's not for him specifically. It's certainly not for Xbox fans. It's for me. It's because I'm thinking about it. Do I feel like I used that word correctly? Is there a better way? That's all. That's all. It's just an exercise. It's just an exercise. And I do this all the time with many things. I know it's not a shot at me. But that's where I'm saying, like, that's that kind of like, that's that fucking fight mentality that it's exhausting, bro. It fucking is exhausting. Where it's like, dude, everywhere you go, it's just everybody wants to fight about everything. It's like, look, man, I believe in fighting for what you believe is right, but Jesus, can we please? Like, why does everything have to be a fight? Everything. It doesn't. Some things can just be okay and good. MBG, your apology will never fill the void that is in their souls. God damn. Gaming Survivor out here getting real deep. Getting real deep. Gaming Dude 23. Gaming Dude says he's going to drop a membership gift today as well for the community. Gaming Dude, big shout out to you, my friend. Thank you so much for keeping the membership train rolling. That brings us up to 14 members on the day. We are getting there, guys. We are getting there. And I thank every one of you for continuing to show support. So,
thank you.
Gaming Dude 23, that's for you, man. Let's get some W's in the chat. But yes, Review Scientology USA, I believe you are correct in that Sony should maybe consider trying to take some of this money that they're investing in other areas like mobile and, you know, games as a service, and possibly consider, like, can we do something ourselves with it? You know, can we court more talent? Build a new team? I don't know. I would love to see that. Build a new Japanese studio. How about that? That would be great, wouldn't it? And we have Gavin Hillick. Gavin Hillick is keeping the membership train rolling as well. He also gifts a membership for the community. So Gavin, big shout out to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Let's get some W's in the chat for Gavin. He brings us up to 15 members. So we are now 10 away from hitting the halfway point. This community is incredible. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. I'm just going to read this really quick because it's pretty funny. Space D, member for 6 months, says, live by the console war, die by the console war. Matthew 2652. Damn, man, I must have missed that one. Shit, bro. Live by the console war, die by the console war. Truer words have never been spoken, my friend. Truer words have never been spoken. And we have Stephen Leon. Stephen Leon comes in and drops a 10 bomb on us, guys. Steven says, you know what? 10 memberships to get to the halfway point. Let's go. Steven, I feel like you've gifted before, man, but man, it feels like I always lose track. But Steven, even if it's not your first time gifting, thank you so much, dude. Thank you so much for that. Let's get some W's in the chat for Steven dropping 10 memberships. And Gaming Dude 23 follows it up with another membership gift. So he drops another one. That brings us up to 26 members, guys. We have officially passed the halfway mark for the memberships today. Good stuff, guys. Really appreciate the support you show. It means everything. So, Steven, once again, I got to give you a...
no matter what.
There you go. Steven, I'll give you a Joel.
Something to fight for.
And I'll give you a snake as well. That's for all you guys.
Kept you waiting.
Let me update this and read these super chats as well. I really wish I didn't have to manually add. I don't mind doing it. It just feels weird because it keeps popping up. For some reason, it doesn't automatically count the membership gifts. Maybe it'll update one day. The streaming software will update and it'll be able to do that. Is YouTube being shitty again? I don't think so. Do a macro for it? Where am I at here? I'm sorry, I just got a little bit thrown off. Kitford also donated a super chat. And he said, after I beat Spider-Man, I decided to play the Horizon games again on the hardest difficulty. I beat Horizon Zero Dawn and just passed my 800th hour on Forbidden West. Also, Xbox. I know you got to get it in there, Kipford. I understand. We understand, man. We understand. But yeah, dude, Kipford, I remember you telling me, I don't know how long ago it was, but you had like 500 or 600 hours or something on Forbidden West. That's insane, dude. That is. And I feel like that's definitely not common in a lot of cases, like spending that much time in a single player game. 800 hours. That's wild. Dude, that is as much time as some people spend in these live service games. But you definitely love that world of Horizon, bro. So congratulations, though, on completing Horizon again on the hardest difficulty. It's impressive. It's impressive. Those games can be pretty difficult. If you're playing them at the higher difficulties, they can. So, thank you, Kitford. I really appreciate all the support you show the channel, man. And it'll be interesting to see what comes next for Horizon. Space Gambler Jr. says you must really like that game. Yeah, seriously. We also have Josh Z with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Josh. He says, honestly, I resent the modern video game industry. It's basically gluttony at its absolute worst. If you really think about it, always want more, never satisfied. It makes me sad. Gaming is not joyful. Well, Josh, I mean, I feel that way as well. Not all the time, but certainly more than I would like to. And it really speaks to what I've been kind of saying here, how it just, I'm getting so sick of the it never being enough mentality. It just feels wrong. Like, just straight up, it feels wrong, man. Where it's like, I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of greed being justified by it's just business. Like, I don't care if it's just anything. Like, it's just wrong is what it is. But I don't know. That's the thing, man. We live in a day and age where there's some companies that are worth trillions of dollars, technically, which is like ridiculous. Like, that's not even, like, that just sounds silly. Like, you're worth $2 trillion. Like, what even is that? What even is $2 trillion? It's just that you may as well just say, like, you have a lot of power in this world. That's what it should mean. You know, it's just numbers. But it's annoying, man. It is. I wish that Josh says, can I go back to being a kid? I feel like we all feel that way sometimes, you know? We do. Simpler times, really. I mean, when you're a kid, it's easy to just I mean, when you're a kid, man, you can be ignorant. And ignorance truly is bliss because you don't have to deal with all of the fucking, I don't want to say shit's made up, but let's face it, it kind of is. You know, it's just you're part of a system. Like you grow up and you eventually realize like you're born into a system. And you don't have to, like technically you don't have to follow that system, but we all know what happens when you don't. So you either play the game or you don't. And we're taught that if you don't play the game, you're going to lose. And we're taught that losing is very bad, right? And no one wants to be a loser. And it can just be really destructive. Like I'm all about competition and improving oneself, but I just think that it's too easy to get off course and just, you know, there's good and bad in I think almost all things. And from what I can tell, speaking about the gaming industry, this constant, like you're saying, just the gluttony of it, where it's like, we need more, we need more, we need more. It's like, listen, we all want more. I don't condemn anybody or even a company. Like you want more. Everybody wants to grow, right? Everybody wants to grow. There's nothing wrong with that. But something has to be said for slow, sustainable, healthy growth. Something has to be said for that. And that's why I agree with Kipford and I say F Xbox. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, it is why I do not look forward to consolidation. I do not. Because, dude, that is the opposite of slow, healthy growth. And it's a fast track to shrinkage, which we know Domingo doesn't like. It's the epitome of the worst aspect of the industry. And it's the one that says it's never enough. It's the one that says we need more, more, more. And let's face it, man. I'm about to get real deep right now, but follow me here. That mentality starts to bleed through to the consumer. There's going to be a very, very unpopular opinion. Okay. I don't mind if you disagree. Just please don't destroy me for this. Just tell me why you disagree. But I kind of notice that the consumer is now being conditioned to just expect more. More and more and more. And I'm not like, I get it where it's like, well, what's wrong with expecting more from a $1 billion company? I don't think that that's necessarily wrong in and of itself, where it's like, well, you know, more is always better, right? But then it's like, I don't know, man. I'm like pretty much advocating for, how about just less all around? Like not just, I don't want to just see a company grow by being greedy and then the consumer get less. How about less all around? How about we don't need to support a company or be in favor of a company that's just obsessed with, we gotta just keep fucking going higher and higher and higher as fast as we can. Right? Maybe we don't have to chase that. And in turn, we don't have to constantly expect more. Maybe I have felt this year, dude. I felt this. You know how I felt this? With Spider-Man 2. Where right now, the amount of people that I've come across on the internet that have told me that I should have a problem because the only game I got from Sony this year for the PS5, not counting Call of the Mountain for PSVR 2, was Spider-Man 2. And, you know, there are people that want me to say that's unacceptable. And I get it. But when I step outside the bubble and I stop playing the game for a moment, not literally playing Spider-Man 2, but the game, right? I stop playing the fucking game for a moment. I think, How was your year, MBG? How was your gaming year? How was it? And I look back. I look at the games I purchased. I look at my profile. I'm like, this is a fucking killer year, bro. Like, more than I could even handle, realistically. This was a killer year for games. And that's where it's like, so why would I be upset that I got a great game from Sony at the end of the year? Well, because that's not enough. That's not enough. And it's like, who said that? Like, who decides that? Well, for me, it's enough for now. I'll tell you that. It's enough for now. And I think to myself, what is it? Why am I so, I don't want to say against Game Pass, but it does not appeal to me in the least. And I mean that. Like, I get it. People think that, like, dude, you just hate Xbox. I get it. I'm not talking about that. I'm not PlayStation Plus. I mean, it's easier for me to focus on Game Pass because they're the ones really putting their games day one. But even PlayStation Plus, why does this shit not appeal to me at all? You're asking me my thoughts on the Bungie news. Is there more Bungie news? I'll get to that. I will get to that. Let me just get my thought out here. When I really think, like, why doesn't this appeal? It's because, you know what I realize about myself, especially as I get older, is I don't need it all, man. I don't want it all. It's like, please leave me alone. It's like, I'll take one great thing that I think is great over 10 things that I think are okay. Period. That's it. Like, I'll be fine. And if that means that one great thing is relatively short-lived, and then you have to go periods of time where there's just a lull and there's nothing happening, I'm okay with that. It's like watching movies, right? I mean, again, I go through these sub-services and I like watching movies. But it's just so many of the movies, so much of the stuff, it's overwhelming. I don't know what's good, what's not. And I just have to take chances. It's like, and it's just, sometimes I just think, I feel like I'd almost rather just once or twice a month just go to the movie theater and watch a quality ass movie in a big ass theater with a bucket of popcorn and say, I got my movie fill this month. I'm satisfied. I don't need it all. I don't need to watch a fucking movie every night. I don't need to have 200 options to choose from. I don't. I actually don't. But that's the thing, is like, at what point do people begin to realize that? Did anybody ever think that we were just told this is what we want, but it might not actually be what we really want? I don't know. Maybe that's getting a little bit too deep, a little bit too, conspiratorial, but I really do wonder that, man. I really do. Like, at what point does it turn into it? It turns out that, like, this isn't really what people want. This is just what they were told what they want, and everybody just said, okay. It's very strange, man. And I know how this sounds to people. Some people are going to say, so are you saying that the consumer should ask for less? No, I'm all about value, of course. But and it kind of gets back to the conversation we had earlier. It's like, value in a way it is subjective. It is subjective. And I guess it's just, when I think back on my life so far, honestly, it's like that mission in Spider-Man 2, the Howard mission. Dude, I beat the game. I 100%ed that game. And I played it for almost 40 hours. I think I'm at like 35, 38 hours to 100%. And that is the thing that stands out to me. A side mission that took like 10 minutes to complete. And for some reason, like, that single part of that game had more value to me than like 80% of the other stuff. I appreciated the other stuff in the game, like unlocking the suits, and there were some other side missions and whatnot. But that, for some reason, it's just like there was something, I don't know. It hit a kind of high note. It's like there was some kind of quality aspect of that mission, the way it was written, the way it was voice acted, the cadence of it. And it's just so funny to me how even in something, it's like a microcosm example of that's just how I am as a person, where I can tell, like, going years down the line, when I think back to the PS5 generation and I'm going through the games and I think of the high moments of those different games, like the things that I'll really carry with me, that's going to be probably the thing that I remember most of Spider-Man 2. Well, that and Venom, of course. But that to me is just, it's a testament to the power of something truly being impactful, and how when something is impactful enough, it doesn't need to overstay its welcome, and you don't actually need more of it. It kind of also comes back down to that conversation of like, can any fictional character ever actually just stay dead? Do we always need a sequel? Like, even if it's 20 years later, like, do we need a sequel? Do we need to revive this? It's like, no, we don't. It's like Metal Gear Solid 6, right? Do we need a Metal Gear Solid 6? We definitely do not. Unless Metal Gear Solid 6 ends up being like a, I don't know, like a remake of the original MSX game or something. Fine. But like, in general, it's like, do we really need to forcefully continue this series? Or can we just like get some remakes and, remasters? I think that would be fine. Apparently, there's some kind of breaking news happening right now as I'm going on this tangent, which I will get to. I guess there is some breaking news here. You're saying we could use an MGS 6? I guess I'm just saying, like, if Konami was like, you know what, Kojima's gone and he's associated with Metal Gear, we're going to do remakes and remasters, and after that, we're going to develop a new IP. Maybe it could have similarities to Metal Gear, but it's like, let's just let that be what it was and let it exist as it was. It's okay. Like, I'm just saying, it's okay for things to end and be finite. It's okay. It is the natural way of things. And I just, God, man, getting too deep up in here. All right. What the hell were we talking about? What topic was I on? What super chat did I read? Oh, Josh, dude. Yeah, Josh, that was your super chat that got me going, man. I appreciate it, though. I do appreciate it. I'm glad it's not just me, that can kind of see that the gluttony, and it's not just in the gaming industry, but the gluttony in general, it's not good, man. It's not healthy, I think, for anybody. Moderation and balance is key. And I think there's a reason for that. All right, let me see here. We got Dark Horse with a super chat. He says, MBG, I think the days of FromSoft exclusives are over. The Souls games have exploded. No way they would limit themselves, in my opinion. I don't know, man. I do get what you're saying, and you could be correct in that they truly are so big now that, yeah, the only way it's possible that Sony could have signed a deal with them like way back, like even before Elden Ring, that they have to oblige, right? That could be a possibility. Or it just simply could be that, Sony, they have a lot of money to spend on stuff like this at times. Would FromSoftware be worth spending that kind of money on? I don't want to say for sure yes, but maybe. But I get what you're saying, Dark Horse. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony basically just gets the marketing rights. Actually disagrees. He says, sorry, that's a wrong assessment. There will almost certainly be a PS5 exclusive. I am still leaning more on that side. It's just I do get what's being said here, though, in that, like, FromSoftware has exploded as a developer and is now in the upper echelon. And a lot of times these upper echelon development teams are always viewed as they're multi-plat because they can be multi-plat. Like, they have that luxury. They don't have to worry. But I don't know, man. I still refer to what Herman Hulse said about this investment they made into FromSoftware, and it's just like everybody is anticipating, like, eventually a Bloodborne 2. Well, at least they want a Bloodborne 2, right? There's always been that rumor of that game Spellbound. People have always wondered, like, is that potentially going to be the PS5 exclusive? All right. Got all my coffee in me now. We'll see, though, Dark Horse. We will find out together. And Abdul, who's been a member for 2 months, says, you can call me Abed or AJ. By the, I think I'll call you AJ, just to keep it as simple as I can. Thank you for that, by the way. You're saying, what do you reckon FromSoftware is working on now? A new IP, Bloodborne 2, or I think you're saying Demon Souls 2. What do you hope to see? It's a good question. What do I think they're working on? Well, we know they're working on multiple projects. Here's what I think. I think project number 1 is Elden Ring 2. I think Elden Ring 2 is being fast-tracked because it's a monolithic hit. I mean, it is a mega hit that, yes, they're going to get a sequel for it going. No doubt about that. But I think the second game they're working on is a PS5 exclusive. And if I had to guess, I think it would be Bloodborne 2. And the reason why I say that is because Miyazaki himself has said that was like his favorite game that he made, because he just really loved the world that they created. And, like, I guess I'm just saying, I don't think Sony would need to sell him on the idea of making a Bloodborne 2. I think he would say, yeah, that sounds great. I mean, and to be honest, that's what I would want to see now. It could be if they could be working on a brand new IP. But another reason why I'm not so sure about that is if FromSoftware works on a new IP that's exclusive to Sony, Sony's going to own that IP. And I don't know how FromSoftware feels about that at this point. Like, you could imagine FromSoftware, they do have enough kind of weight behind them where it's like, and pull that, yeah, like, we want to own our own IP. I think that's kind of the dream, right? But that's what I think is going on right now at FromSoftware. It could also just be that maybe they're just working on multiple games. Elden Ring 2. I'm certain Elden Ring 2 is happening. Maybe a new IP, and they could all just be multi-plat. Maybe Sony will have, like, the marketing rights. But I'm feeling pretty confident, relatively confident, I should say, that they're doing a PS5 exclusive. I would love to see it be Bloodborne 2. I mean, that would be crazy, man. That would be. People would go nuts. You're saying MBG Jason Schreier's reporting a delay in the final shape and marathon. We will get to this. I just want to make sure I get to the super chats because these guys have been waiting, and we'll go over these new reports. Anonymous Boss says, yes, you are absolutely right, MBG. There's no need for all that fight and stuff, but at the same time, some Xbox channels, cough, cough, Dirt Griggity. I don't even know who that is. That's a hell of a name, though. Is that a real name, Dirt Griggity? That's funny. Zombie Fanatic, you're saying I missed your super chat. It's the next one in line. Zombie Fanatic, no worries. You're saying puts other PlayStation channels on full blast. They are wrong, right? Well, here's what I'll say. I'm not here to, like, call anybody out. I don't know who this is. I'm not here to call anybody out. I know that a lot of that stuff goes on, and you know what? That's their business, man. I'm not here to say that they should or shouldn't be doing this or that. I can only speak, and I will only speak for myself. I am not here to trash talk other people and other content creators or fans. And the worst I end up doing sometimes is I acknowledge the trolls People tell me all the time, don't acknowledge the trolls because that's just what they want. I know I'm guilty of that, but that's not really my goal here. My goal here is to talk gaming with you guys. Video games, the gaming industry, platforms, and PlayStation and Xbox at times. Yes, certainly. That's my goal. And listen, I know that there are other people out there who have audiences and they have influence, and maybe there are a lot of people out there that respect them, but like what they have to say doesn't interest me. And that's why I'm only speaking for me. So like if there are people out there that are like, I love that drama and you know, content creators talking about content creators, that's fine. Like that's probably a pretty popular thing. If I don't follow it too closely, but I imagine it's a relatively popular thing. It seems to be just a thing that people all around like in all different genres. But I just can't get behind it because it's like I'm genuinely not interested in what person A thinks and has to say about person B. Like that is high school or middle school drama shit. That's like, guys, I'm beyond that point. I've never been engaged in that. Like even when I was in middle school and high school, I never gave a shit about any of that. That's like gossip girl type stuff and whatnot, where it's like I'm good, man. You know, like to each their own. Enjoy what you want, but MBG didn't ask, don't care. I mean, basically, yeah. I'm sure there's entertainment value in it, and I've come across things here and there. I believe it or not, like outside of gaming, where it's like, yeah, I can see the appeal from an entertainment perspective, but I don't know, man. I care about video games, and I care about the happenings and goings on in video games. And frankly, people who are out here trying to focus on talking about others, that just I just don't know what I'm gonna get from that. That's all. Maybe other than entertainment, if that's your thing. But so again, I don't want to say they're wrong. I'm just simply going to say that I don't care about that type of stuff because it's not relevant to the conversations I want to have here on the channel. So hopefully that answers your question, Anonymous Boss. I appreciate the super chat, by the way. We have the Zombie Fanatic, and he says, I saw someone say that Microsoft can just buy shares of Sega because Sega are public. They don't need to be Japanese to own Sega because Microsoft has Japan offices. To be honest, Zombie Fanatic, I don't know. I would have to like look deeper into that, but frankly, I don't care enough to look deeper into it. Like, and here's why. I'll tell you, Zombie Fanatic. There's a lot, and I've been focused on this recently too. There's a lot of focus on who's Microsoft going to get next. But I just don't look. I've come to the conclusion that Microsoft is going to pursue other publishers if they can, other developers if they can. Why would they stop? They have no reason in the world to stop. And there's nothing in their way right now. There's nothing in Microsoft's way. So yes, they're going to continue. And I'm just accepting, frankly, of that fact that this is where we are. They got Bethesda, they got ABK, they're going to get someone else. I don't know that it will be a publisher. It could be, but I wouldn't be shocked. Like if they got another publisher, I would question like, how is this allowed to happen? But I wouldn't be shocked at the fact that they wanted another publisher and somehow got it. Like, yeah, we're doing it. You know, we're doing all of it. It's like, well, okay. You know, that's your prerogative. And again, like if it's all in the name of Game Pass, it makes sense. But if they want to pursue Sega, man, that's not surprising to me. You know, I've seen a lot of people speculating that the next move Microsoft is going to make is for a Japanese publisher potentially, and we'll see about that, man. I'm just leaving the door open for anything to happen. Who knows? Maybe, look, on the other side of the coin, while I do believe that Microsoft is not going to stop, I firmly believe they're not going to stop. Microsoft could say, okay, we've bitten off a lot here. we have more than enough. Like, we have everything we need. Let's move forward, and maybe down the line, we'll make more acquisitions. That could be a possibility, but I doubt it. Novinzer and Zombie Fanatic, thank you for that. Novinzer says the Howard side quest was one of my favorite parts. Mine too, man. One of the things that I liked about it the most is I just didn't expect it or see it coming. But it was so kind of heartfelt, and it packed a punch, dude. It did. It packed a punch. So I agree, Novinzer. Angry Well Watcher says, if Foam Stars becomes a lucrative games as a service title, SIE should put a ring on Square Enix. Square Enix Classics could bolster PlayStation Plus. New and old FF games move the needle. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of that. I think, yeah, Foam Stars is an exclusive. That could be the thing that does it. Wouldn't that be so funny? There's like interviews. So, Sony, what made you decide to finally pursue, buying Square Enix? And they're like, oh, it's because Foam Stars is a massive success. And that's what convinced us. That would be so funny. I would laugh. But you're right, man. New Final Fantasy games do and would continue to move the needle. You're saying Square Enix Classics could bolster PlayStation Plus. I didn't think about that one. That's another good angle. We'll see, man. We'll see what ends up happening with Sony and Square. But definitely some good insight there. Dark Horse says, ignore that dirt. Ignore that dirt likes your content. It's all good, man. Don't worry about it, Dark Horse. It's all good. I have no hard feelings here, All right, so let me go see what's going on right now, because apparently the shit is hitting the fan somewhere. I'll go to Twitter and see. Why is nuking trending? Oh, okay. Jeez, man. What is the whole world going to shit? What's happening? Bloomberg, this is coming from Bungie Sales. Bloomberg reporting layoffs and delays at Bungie. An undisclosed... Ooh. That's interesting. An undisclosed number of employee layoffs. That tells you it's a high number. I'll tell you. I will tell you that right now. That tells you it's a high number. Okay? The fact that it's undisclosed means that it wasn't small enough. If it was a small number, they would say it so it doesn't look as bad. They would say, oh, we had to lay off like 50 people. And that would be bad, but it'd be like, oh, okay, well, they have 1,000 developers, so in the grand scheme, it's not that big of a deal. That tells me it was a significant amount of developers. What the hell is that noise? You know what? I think I'm going nuts, guys. I'm going nuts. I'm sorry. I heard, I think it was leaves outside on the ground, but it sounded so weird. I was like, the fuck is that? I'm like an animal sometimes, man. I'm like a cat. I'm like, what's that noise? Like my ears are going backwards. Time to jump ship? No, dude. I'm going to be brutally honest right now. Sony could shut Bungie down and I wouldn't jump ship. I'm sorry. I know I probably just upset some Destiny fans and some Bungie fans, but I'm just being real. I don't care about Bungie. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've cared about Bungie. I never have. Like, it was a big deal when Sony bought them, and I'm like, that's interesting and a big deal, but I really don't care about Bungie. I've never, and no offense against them, it's just I've never been a big fan of theirs. But I've never disliked them either, at least that much. I mean, Bungie has never factored into your PlayStation feelings. Well, yeah, that's I guess that's a good way of putting it. Jenna Hayes says Dirk Grady looks like a bum. Shit. You guys are going in hard over here. I don't even know who this person is. I'm sorry. Anyway, let me finish reading this. Bloomberg reporting layoffs, undisclosed number of employees laid off. Destiny 2 The Final Shape delayed to June 2024. from February. Marathon delayed to 2025. Interesting. So it's safe to say this is Sony's decision, right? At least, I mean, it could have been their decision, but I don't know, dude. It seems like this is more likely to be something that Sony ended up doing. All right, let me see if I can find more. Let me see if I can find more news on this here. All right. Why isn't anything coming up, dude? I'm getting frustrated. Here we go. All right. I'm back to Jason Schreier. Let me read it. Let me get to his article. Jason Schreier reports Bungie, the Sony-owned game studio behind Destiny 2, let go an undisclosed number of staffers, according to people with knowledge of the matter. In an email to employees seen by Bloomberg, Bungie Chief Executive Officer Pete Parsons said staffers would be hearing some news today and that there would be a team meeting later in the day to discuss today's events. The company did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Bungie recently delayed an upcoming Destiny 2 expansion, pushing it out of Sony Group's current fiscal year, who said the people who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to speak publicly. Bungie's next game, Marathon, slipped to 2025. What's weird about the whole Marathon thing, though? What's weird is that I didn't expect Marathon to be a 2024 game. Like, I always thought it was like a 2025 game. But I guess we know now. It wasn't. And really quick here, we have Anonymous Boss. Anonymous Boss coming out, keeping the membership train going strong today. Guys, let's get some W's in the chat. Let's get some W's in the chat for Anonymous Boss. Anonymous, I know you've obviously donated super chats, man, but I think you've gifted as well.
Thank you.
But either way, dude, I really appreciate the support. Give me a crazy Arnold, Anonymous Boss. Anonymous Boss brings us to 31 members. 31 members, guys. So we are getting closer to the goal. We are now, what are we? We're 19 away from hitting the goal, which is very impressive. You guys, I got to say, you always show incredible support. You always do it. I really appreciate it. So thank you for that, Anonymous Boss. We have DJ here. Member for 4 months, says Sony is going to be fine. They've got almost 30 years in games, like you said before. Also beat Spider-Man 2, and it was great. Well, I'm happy to hear you enjoyed Spider-Man 2, and I'm in agreement. Like, I'm not saying there aren't problems. There clearly are problems. Bad things are happening all around. But I'm not... I think, Sony has the advantage... Well, not the advantage, but the safety net of they have a lot of teams. They are in a really good position right now where the PS5 is doing well. Spider-Man 2 just dropped and it's selling really well. They do have Final Fantasy Rebirth coming up. They have Rise of the Ronin. They have Silent Hill 2 Remake. They have all these partners. Believe it or not, look, I'm not saying we ever want to see Sony fuck up, but if there was ever a time where it's like, maybe this is the time for them to kind of get their shit straight and sort shit out, now is the time, because things are about to get real next year. And the big concern is, do we have to worry about years? Like, do we have to worry about 2024 being not another, but like a horrible year? What about 25? I don't think so. I'm not willing to jump to that conclusion just yet. Certainly not. Let me see. I want to. So is that it? Is that like the big news? Is there? I mean, it's. This person says, I've been laid off from Bungie, a surreal thing to write as I sit here pondering what went wrong. I'm still processing it all, and while my first instinct is anger, I know I'd regret what I'd say. Thank you to everyone at Bungie who helped make my last 5 years the best ever. That sucks. I mean, you definitely, it always sucks to see people getting laid off. I wish them the best. I hope that they land on their feet very quickly. This seems to be a thing that's happening all around, man. with this industry, where there just seems to be layoffs occurring. I'm just checking to see if there's any other news. I think right now this is it. Well, what do we think, guys? Do we think that this is... You're saying it's big news because Sony spent $4 billion down the drain? You're saying... I see somebody saying this is normal churn around October. There's always a ton of layoffs. Microsoft laid off 700 people today. You know, for me right now with this situation, what I'm trying to figure out is, you know, how much of this is this isolated? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, is this a isolated situation with Bungie, where it's their, like, it's kind of their own issue here, like they made the decision, or is this... Let me take a step back here. Here's the question I'm trying to ask. And it is, does this confirm the rumor that Sony is beginning to pivot away from games as a service? Is that, like, does this seemingly confirm that? Or is this completely separate from that? Because we have to keep in mind that all of these things that have happened in a very short time frame, back to back to back to back. And there seems to be, from the outside looking in, a correlation between all of them. KDV says MBG has no clue. Again, like, this is why I'm, even with what Jason Schreier's reporting here, like, it's very minimal. You know, it's very, very minimal. Sony is cooked. I wouldn't say that. Shane, you're saying Quantum Error is being called the new Abandoned game, which has scammed Sony? Really? What's going on? Now, the reason why I'm asking this question is because, again, I want to reiterate, if Sony is pivoting away from their live service, I don't know, that to me, that would not be a bad thing. Giga Chad Jim jumped ship before things got bad. Giga Chad Jim. He knew, bro. He's like, well, this is as good as it's going to get. Peace. I'm out. You can't fire me if I retire. I mean, he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. We don't know yet. We will see. You know, something I do feel confident in saying right now, though, in my evaluation of an assessment of Sony right now, something I do feel confident in saying, and this is not a doom and gloom thing, I think it's actually, it's something that occurs with all companies at times. Something I feel confident in saying is they do lack a vision, like 100%. I think that is obvious right now, that they do not have a clear vision in where they see PlayStation in the next 10 years. I've been thinking this entire time that Sony has been kind of hiding their long-term vision from us. But it turns out that they're not hiding it. They just don't have one. They're still figuring it out. And this is exactly why I hope that the end result of all of this is slow the fuck down. Slow the fuck down. Slow your roll. Pump the brakes. Don't worry. Don't worry about where, what PlayStation. Don't worry about if Sony's the leader, the market leader 10 years from now. Worry about your game development, keeping your fans happy, slow growing. That's my opinion. Like, I know Sony's not going to do that, but I want them to, man. Grow slowly and steadily. I think this fucking race to I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, it's becoming clearer by the day. Don't chase Microsoft. Don't do it. Don't chase Microsoft, because Sony, you will not be Microsoft. You won't. You have PlayStation, and PlayStation can be better than Xbox forever. It doesn't mean it will be Xbox. It doesn't mean it will be the same. It doesn't mean it has to be the same. It doesn't mean it even has to be similar. I want to see Sony fucking dig in. I do. I want to see Sony dig in and turn and say, you know what? We do fucking know what we're doing. You know how we know what we're doing? Because we've been doing it for 30 fucking years. We've been doing it for 30 years. We have a fan base. We have a fan base that has been here for 30 years, and we've brought new fans along the way. Like, dig in on that, man. Like, I hate this. I hate that Sony is seemingly out here trying to. We don't know that they are, but it seems like there's every chance we're going to find out that they're just going to chase Microsoft. And I don't want to see that, man. If that's what they do, then that's what they do. I'll have to engage with it, but I don't want to see it. Hey, don't you chew that wire. You're saying they can't rely on the fan base alone. Well, they can. Well, you're right in the sense that they can't just rely on the core fan base, but start there, man. That's all I'm saying. Start there and grow from there. And it's okay if you don't get, like, I'm just saying, what would be so wrong with Sony saying, you know what we should do? We should try our hardest to beat the PlayStation 2. To see if we can get a console to sell 160 million units, 165 million units. What would be so wrong about that? I know that that's not like the hundreds, or like that's not like 500 million people playing your games. That's not billions of people accessing your games through mobile. I know that, but what's so wrong about it? It's self-sustaining. Because I'm telling you, man, I get it. They want to explore these other growth vectors, mobile, live service, whatever. I get PC. I know they want to explore these other growth vectors, but I think what Sony needs to realize is, like, dude, it's going to take your attention away. It's going to take your attention away. It's going to reshift your focus, and it makes the chance of you screwing up the thing that you're best known for, much more likely. I don't know. PS5 final sales 135 million. We'll see. Really quick, DJ. Let's get some W's in the chat for DJ.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
DJ drops 2 membership gifts back to back, and he brings us up to 33 members on the day. Guys, we are getting there. Are we going to do it today? I think we are. Maybe. I'm not sure. We're at 33. We'll see if we end up hitting the goal. But either way, guys, 33 members is impressive. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support, DJ, and everybody else. And DJ, you say here, Sony is going to be fine. They've got almost 30 years in games. I read that already. But I'm in agreement that no matter what happens, PlayStation will be fine. I just think Sony needs to be okay with the idea that, you know, you might not be able to keep up with Microsoft because Microsoft is doing crazy things. It doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means they're spending more money than you. You know? And I understand why that makes Sony nervous, but I think that's, I don't know, that's just my opinion on the matter. Saying you're sick of hearing how consoles are dying. People have been saying this since before the PS3 released. It's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. It's not. Edward Jordan, a member for 28 months. Thank you so much, man. Longtime member. Says first Ryan, then Connie, now Summit Bungie. It has to do with the live service push, in my opinion. I can't disagree with you. It's hard to disagree with that. That's what I'm leaning towards as well. I mean, we can't say for certain until we get confirmation, but I'm leaning towards that as well. I am. Let me go see if there are any other updates here. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking around. I'm just perusing right now since this just came out. You getting ready to jump? No, not yet. Wonder what some people are saying about this. They seem to be mostly laying off staff from communications, social media, and publishing aspects of the business based on existing knowledge. Sony already has expertise and employees in that area, so it's quite normal for there to be layoffs in areas where the company is double dipping following M&A. This person says, I've checked the LinkedIn posts. Not a single developer has popped up. Paralegal, marketing events manager, IT support, desk. Interesting. So, well, that's interesting. You know, it makes me wonder. Maybe it's not as bad as it might seem. Breaking news: Sony fired PlayStation. Oh shit! You're saying, but that's not what we're seeing. Devs are the ones posting on X right now. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm jumping to believe this because it's like, I mean, these are just random Redditors, you know, like I'm not going to just assume that they are telling the truth. Yeah. The industry is definitely in a volatile state right now. I think we can all agree on that. People are trying to spin it. Yeah. I mean, they're either going to spin it more positive than it is or more negative than it actually is. 1 billion in retention and they didn't look after their own. Wild from Bungie. Well, I think there is something that you're saying the art teams are having layoffs. That's what Paul Tassie's saying. Interesting. I mean, it is worth noting that apparently there are games being delayed too because of this. You know, the Final Shape or whatever was delayed, and apparently Marathon is. And I think when you hear about games being delayed and there being layoffs, I think that's more that indicates that, at least to me, that yeah, there might have been something going on development wise. Saying they should sell Bungie at this point. Oof, I don't know. I would laugh. I would laugh so hard if they sold Bungie because it's like, bro, at that point, who would be able to defend Jim Ryan? You know? It would look so bad. Yeah, it would. It really would look bad. They sell it to Microsoft. Oh my god, that would be so funny. Could you imagine? I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, you know? Bungie back with Microsoft. Worst things could happen. Certainly. So I have this topic here for the PlayStation Portal. By the way, we got a release date for the PlayStation earbuds. Meant to tell you guys about this. Sorry, I'm a little late with it. We got a release date for the PlayStation earbuds. Apparently, they're releasing on December 6th. And I'm definitely going to pick those up because I really want those. So official PlayStation earbuds, December 6th release date. Boss, you're getting all right, come on. Getting hair on my mic. But we also have Sony talking about the PlayStation Portal. Flatted Fifth says with a $5 super chat, how can it not be bad when they are delaying their most important expansion by 4 months? Well, I don't think anybody's saying it's not bad. I think it's just a matter of how bad is it. That we don't know, man. I've been telling you guys, listen, and I know I offend some Destiny 2 players, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I've been telling you guys that, dude, all I see are people shitting on Bungie. That's all I see. And I'm not saying I'm looking for it either. I just come across all these now, but at the same time, I know people can exaggerate. And they do. People do exaggerate, but I've noticed a lot of negativity directed towards Bungie's way, to where just as somebody on the outside looking in, I get this general sense that it seems like a lot of people are not very happy with them. But then I do see some people defend them, but, you know, you're saying I've already written Bungie off, be honest. Not entirely. Not entirely. When it comes to Destiny, I have, because I'm just not into Destiny. But like something like Marathon, I am actually interested in seeing what they do. Because it's new. It's something new from Bungie. Like, yeah, I'll check it out. Sure. Might not like it, but I'll check it out. I'll give it a chance. You're saying they always shit on them since Destiny 1. Yeah, that's what I do want to acknowledge as well. Is I don't want to confuse like the vocal minority for, you know, the reality. MBG, people are implying the final shape is being delayed because of Sony's fiscal year. You know what? That's actually really interesting. Because Sony's fiscal year ends April 1st, or yeah, it either ends the last day of March or the first day of April. But what's interesting is that Sony is out here saying they're going to be breaking records in that time. Is it possible? It's just speculative, but is it possible they decided, guys, we're going to move this because we don't need this right now. We're going to need it for our first fiscal quarter of next year. You're saying for consoles sold. Yeah, that's true. I guess we don't know how it's going to look for their overall financial situation. I guess assuming if they're breaking records with the console, they could possibly. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's just you're saying isn't Bungie autonomous? I mean, that's what we're led to believe, but I'm pretty sure. So we do have to understand Sony does own them. Like if Sony says like this is what we're gonna delay your stuff, I don't think Bungie can say no. Maybe they can. I don't know, man. I don't know. You're expecting some bad numbers? I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would be okay with that. I would actually like to see Sony come out, not like terrible numbers like we're sinking, but I would be okay if Sony didn't have the strongest numbers because, I mean, well, I don't know. I guess maybe it would be kind of bad because of Spider-Man 2 launched. I guess I just mean like if their numbers aren't that great, it would mean that they have to start doing something, you know? Something. Hopefully something good. But I am forgetting that Spider-Man 2 just came out, and I'm pretty sure the next time Sony gives their numbers, it will include Spider-Man 2. And that's making me feel like I think they'll be just fine. We'll see, though. You're saying, man, you're creating a toxic community here, too much hate, negativity, and wanting bad results. Well, no. I mean, I do have a tendency to be toxic at times, even if I'm not trying to be. But it's not that we want bad results. Listen, if there's one thing I know about this community here, is that what we want is pretty simple. You know? What we want is pretty simple. We want Sony to put on some shows every now and again and to see some really good shit at these shows. And in between those shows, see them release that really good shit and we play and enjoy that really good shit. That's it. That's all we expect. That's all we expect. And, you know, we're getting that with Spider-Man, of course, but Spider-Man was shown in 2021. Spider-Man's the end of the line. Till Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is actually the end of the line. So I don't think it's overly negative. I mean, I think it's okay if you feel like it is. I'm not telling you how you should feel. It's okay if you feel that way. I'm just saying that, yeah, see that right, Crooked Vulture, you're saying it will be funny the first quarter of the year Sony doesn't break records, all the bots will be tweeting about the apocalypse. Yeah, we need to, if there's something I need to do, and many of us, we need to fucking ignore these morons because they do not know what they're talking about. I'm not sitting here saying I know exactly how everything's going to work out and everybody should listen to me. I'm not saying that, but I am going to say you definitely shouldn't we cannot acknowledge these idiots. Because they're not trying to be logical. They're not trying to look at things objectively. They're just trying to throw wrenches into the spokes. That's all they're trying to do. So ignore that shit. But yeah, I think that's what most of us expect from Sony and want from Sony. And we did not get that this year. We didn't. We got part of it. Spider-Man 2 is out. Final Fantasy 16 was out. Sticks. You're right. My bad. Sticks. I don't know why I said a wrench. A wrench in the spokes. It's even worse. It's even worse than a stick. Sorry. But we got part of that, right? Like we got FF16. We just got Spider-Man. And this is good. Again, I've spent plenty of time. I think, listen, I know that some people think, oh, you're being overly negative, but how did you feel when I was gushing about Final Fantasy 16? And, I had a lot of great things to say about Spider-Man 2 as well. It's not like I'm not acknowledging the good. I love acknowledging the good. I prefer that. But it's just that a big part of what we expect yearly from Sony is missing this year. And that is the shows. We got 2 stated plays and a showcase, and the best we got from that was the last stated play, where we got to see more Final Fantasy and Spider-Man, but games that we already knew about for a while now and that are coming soon, which is fine. Again, that's okay. But there's no, I just have to continue to reiterate, there is no roadmap, and that is a negative. I'm not saying it means doom and gloom, but I also can't say it doesn't mean doom and gloom. All I know is that a lack of a roadmap at a time when it seems like we should have a roadmap is not a good sign. Now, if somebody were to say to me, don't worry about it, man, they're just going to let Spider-Man 2 pave the way, rely on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then after that, they're going to show us the roadmap, I'd say, yeah, that would make sense. I'm totally open to that, and I hope that's what happens. But if somebody says there is no roadmap because they can't show anything yet, they're having some issues, and they're scrambling to try to make sure they can have a better showcase next year, I could believe that too. And it just comes down to, what do you want to believe? Take your pick. Saying the world economy is shrinking. Fewer people have disposable income to buy entertainment. This causes fewer sales. The various industries then have to cut spending to compensate, fix the economy. Yeah, that's definitely something that is problematic right now. No doubt. I see somebody in the chat as I almost choke on my water. I'm going to read these 2 super chats momentarily. I just want to read this real quick. They say, oh, I lost it. Hold on. They say, we know Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers 2, Rise of the Ronin, Stellar Blade, Death Stranding 2, etc. are all either confirmed or likely coming next year, though. That's a roadmap. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I'm in agreement that, dude, I'm excited for pretty much every one of those games, or almost every one of those games you announced that you just mentioned. But I guess it's just we just have to acknowledge, because it is true that none of those games you listed are from PlayStation Studios. They're partner studios, and that's fine. I don't want to downplay that. That's huge. I don't care what anybody says. So, Sony getting games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Death Stranding 2 and Rise of the Ronin exclusively on their platform, that's a big deal. These are games that are not releasing on Xbox. They're not releasing on Nintendo. So, yeah, it almost is no different than if they were first party. But there is still a difference that we have to acknowledge, and that, Sony has all these studios and we still don't know what they're working on. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Got to make sure I stay hydrated here. I'm going to read these super chats now. Yeah, there's a Lost Soul side as well. All right. Domingo813 with a $5 chat says, I think Sony's restructuring. No need to be a negative Nancy. All we need to do is wait for an event such as the Game Awards. We'll see a better idea. I'm really interested. I'm really excited for the Game Awards this year. I am. I'm really curious to see what Sony may bring to the table. But yeah, it's just been a rough year, I think, for Sony. Not financially. They've been, console sales wise. I mean, they've been doing good, but I just think it's been a rough year for Sony, and I think a lot of people are going to jump to conclusions. I'm not encouraging anybody to jump to conclusions. I'm just encouraging people to understand and accept that, again, two things can be true at the same time. Like you're saying, like they might just be restructuring. Is that a good thing? Not necessarily. If people are getting laid off and projects are getting shuffled or canceled, it's not a good thing. But it can lead to good things and is oftentimes necessary to lead to good things and better results. Again, two things can be true at the same time. But Domingo, I do appreciate the super chat, man, and yeah, we will get a better idea hopefully at the Game Awards. We have Ice Rezo. He says the interim CEO of PlayStation is the CFO of Sony. He is going to make cuts to PlayStation to bring their share price up. He is Sony's top accountant. Yeah. That is a thing. That is true. And I'm a little bit nervous, frankly, to see what PlayStation looks like underneath Sony's CFO, Hiroki Totoki. I don't know. I mean, what you're saying is true. He's their top accountant. He's there to manage the money, manage the finances, and we'll have to see. This could be, this could be him doing his thing. So good call out, Ice. Definitely something we should pay attention to, or at least be aware of. I mean, Dark Horse says, MBG, have you ever tried gym supplements? It's good. I've heard of them. Never actually tried them. Honestly, I don't take supplements anymore. The only thing I do take is fish oil. That's it. You know what? I do take a multivitamin as well. I take this brand called Smarty Pants or whatever. They're really good. I take like their men's version that gives everything that I need. I don't take it every day though, but those are the only supplements I take. I just stopped. I stopped taking whey protein or a protein supplement. You know what I have instead? I drink kefir instead. Kefir is very high in protein, but it's also incredibly high in probiotics. Very, very healthy for you. Very nutritious. No extra. And sometimes I drink the kefir plain. Kefir's tough to drink plain though, because it's very sour and bitter, and I don't really like it. But I get it in vanilla as well. And yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing, man. Saying your brother takes Animal Pack. I could never take that. Like, dude, Animal Pack, I used to take a lot of supplements from Animal, but when you look at the amount of shit they put in Animal Pack, it's like, dude, that can't be good for your organs. That's a lot of shit you're asking your organs to process at one time. Like just way too much, man. I'm not saying I think supplements are a scam. I don't think they are, but I will tell you this, like, it's a matter of what you're trying to achieve. I still lift. I'm still trying to stay healthy and stay in shape, but I just don't care, like I said, about being like really big anymore. And like, I'm trying to have massive muscles. Like I just want to be healthy and I just want to have a healthy amount of muscle mass and maintain that and be as fit as I can. Dude, Jacked 3D was killing people. Dude, I fucking took that shit. This is why I don't take supplements anymore, man. I took that stuff back in the day, and fuck, I was basically on amphetamine. And it was just like, I'm good, dude. I'm good. Saying how do you spell that? I want to look up. I think it's Keifer, Kefir. I think that's how it's spelled. Could be wrong. Yeah, creatine I would take too sometimes, but even then it's just like I just don't feel like I need it, That pump was insane. It was, man. It was insane. So yeah, I'm just basically I'm just lifting as regularly as I can, and I'm just trying to get a healthy amount of protein in my diet. I don't know, man. Something is happening to me in my life. I don't know what's happening to me, but I'm 30 now, and I just something has changed in me where I feel like my entire life, dude, with everything, I've always been told, and I don't know if this is the result of growing up in America. I don't know. It could just be the way of the world. I just feel like my entire life I've always been told by everyone and everything more, 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 more. Everything more, everything more. And I've just reached a point where it's like, no. Like, I'm going to actively strive for less. And I'm going to make sure less is more. I'm going to do more with less. Like, that's my thing at this point, man, where it's like, I'm not saying I want to live on the bare minimum. I want to be healthy, but I'm just not about more. Like, I'm tired of hearing about fucking more. You know what song I listened to the other day? I don't know what. I was just like, you know what? I want to listen to this song. It feels appropriate. It feels timely. Certainly now, it always is. Right Into by Tool. I don't know if you have listened to this song. If you haven't, go listen to it. It's called Right Into by Tool. Masterpiece. And sometimes I just listen to that song and it just, I don't know. It just makes me feel like I can see things in a different way, even if it's temporarily. Please tell me there's at least somebody here, a few people here who know this song. Look that song up, okay? That's the song. That's the song. It's really, really good. Ray says the 10,000 Days album. Yes, okay. I put it in the chat. Go look it up. Very underrated song. Very relevant today. Relevant at all times, but certainly today. But yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like, I've bought supplements my whole life. And one day I just was like, I've been told over and over and over again that you need all this protein. You need all this protein. Like, it's not, you don't want it, you need it. You actually need it. Or else what? Well, you have to maximize your gains. Why? Why does everything have to be maximized and optimized? Like, why can't anything just be okay and good enough? Why? I don't know, man. Keto. Favorite song is 46 and 2. 46 and 2 is an incredible song. Absolutely. You're getting old, dude, just like some of us. Time marches on relentlessly. Listen to Pink Floyd's Time. Pink Floyd's Time, absolutely. Absolutely. Legendary song. Legendary band. Just Eat Food. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong, like, if you take something like that. Oh, you shouldn't take something. I'm not here to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. I'm just speaking for me. Or just, I've spent my whole life, and I'm not in peak physical condition too. I should say that, so it's like, maybe if I really wanted to be in peak physical condition, maybe I would supplement and it would make sense. But I realize, like, it's all just temporary. Not to get too deep here, right? Because but you know how it is sometimes here on the channel. But it's just, I don't know, as I get older, I just begin to realize that everything is temporary, man. Everything is temporary. And you really just have to try to focus on the journey more than the destination. Because the destination, really the only purpose the destination serves is to reflect on your journey. If you think about it, right? That's the purpose of reaching your destination. To reflect. So I guess that's what I've kind of been focused on recently, is just evaluating my moment to moment everyday life, realizing that, hey man, tomorrow's not a guarantee. That's just the truth of life. Tomorrow is not a guarantee. And if you get some, it's great if you get tomorrow. Capone's like, let it all out on MBG. Well, I'm just saying it is great if you get tomorrow, but because tomorrow's not a guarantee, you should really try to enjoy what you have now and worry about tomorrow. Take it as it comes. I've just been really trying to embrace this lately, and it's been really helpful. It has. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a perfect person. I certainly have my moments, more than I would like to admit, certainly. And, I make my fair share of mistakes, but I don't know. I just feel like almost even the things we're talking about in the stream that relate to video games, even, I always try to remind people, like, the video game industry is run by human beings, man. Like, these are people. And there's just, as I get older, I just noticed there are just certain things that it's just about the human race in general, where it's like, yeah, everybody's unique in a way, everybody's different, but there's also things that we all share in common. And I think it can be we can identify that. At least I identify that a little bit. Shem says World War III incoming. Hopefully not. Fuck war, bro. That's something I will say. I understand, you got to fight for what you believe in. And sometimes you got to fight in the name of defense, right? But I hate war. War sucks. The idea of World War III is insane. Like, truly. The idea of World War III is insane because it's like, dude, nuclear weapons are everywhere. They're everywhere. And it's like, I'm just supposed to expect that someone isn't going to lose their shit and just want to use them. I mean, even now, like with what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, like the amount of threats of and North Korean shit, the threat of, it's just like, okay, well, see, this is all the more reason to focus on the journey and not the destination. I don't know if I'm going to live to be 70. I don't know that I care if I'm going to live to be 70. I think I care more about ensuring that, I want to live today. And I want to enjoy today. Sean's like, holy shit. Rocked up to the stream in a deep combo. Yeah, I'm just in one of those moods right now. I don't know. You're saying, bro, my kids can hear you. Live today, kids. Live today. Enjoy today. See, that's the beauty, though. Josh, I don't know if Josh is still in the chat, but he said it earlier. MBG's edible just kicked in. Dude, I don't smoke weed or anything like that. I don't need to get in this state or frame of mind, man. I really don't. I don't know why. I think sometimes people do think I'm high or some shit all the time, and I'm like, no, this is just how I am, man. But Josh said earlier, he's like, I just want to be a kid again. And that is the beauty, of when you're a child is you do think of it. Like, when you're a kid, you really don't think about tomorrow. You just live. And there's something beautiful about that. MBG's off his meds today. No, I don't take meds either. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. Certainly not. I've seen people who are like against that sometimes, right? Where it's like, against medication and stuff. And I get it, but at the same time, I think you got to also acknowledge that sometimes people are just out there that is their way of trying to improve themselves. They're trying to be, they're trying to forge a path forward to some kind of improvement. And I think that's always respectable. But Man, can't wait for Death Stranding 2. I'm sure Kojima's going to touch on all this stuff. Yeah, you're saying gaming survivor. I mean, look, man. There's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. And it's hard, man, because it's like right, wrong, good, evil, trying to separate the two and realizing that in life, I mean, shit gets so messy. It does. It gets so messy, so bloody. But if there's one thing that I do know, you're saying you're a pacifist? If there's one thing I do know is we all have a choice. At the end of the day, we all make our own choices. And I understand that sometimes we can be convinced that we are stripped of our choice. But I've come to the conclusion that you can never be stripped of your choice unless you give it up. It's not something that can be taken away. It's something you actively give away and give up yourself. But no one can take it from you. Even if they try, you choose how you will live. Even if you're in the face of something horrible. I mean, truly, like, even if you're in the face of, like, death, right? As dramatic as that may sound, but for some people, that's actually what happens. You choose how you're going to live. Period. Michael's like, so what were the topics today? I'm going to have to change the title of my stream, man. FromSoftWare working on big PS5 exclusive. The meaning of life discussed. I mean, that's basically the stream, bro. Something about the portal, yes. We will round it off. We will round it off by somehow circling back to talking about gaming. You know what could cure the world, says Broccoli Rob? A Bloodborne remake. A Bloodborne remake could unify the world. Miyazaki, Sony. It's an obligation at this point. You are obligated to make this happen. Unite the world. Oh, man. We went from philosophical understanding of the subjective to aging and World War III. See, that's the beauty of these streams. We can just boom, boom, boom. One to the other like it's nothing. It's fun. It's fun. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, though. That's the thing about thinking deeply. Thinking too deeply can overwhelm you. At least that's what I've noticed. Let's move on to cultural imperialism. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking we should move on to talking about the PlayStation Portal instead. Before we move on to that. Shit, dude. The world needs a big boss. We need a real Metal Gear. Do we need a real world big boss and Outer Heaven? Fear the MBG stream. Capono says MBG has deep thoughts sometimes. I have deep thoughts constantly. Like I have to actively try to just hyper focus on things. So I'm not like, dude, I am having an existential crisis at like all times, but I'm getting better with it. I am. Like, I know why I feel that way. I know why it happens. And I think it's important to acknowledge and to work through and to hopefully learn something from it. Ever since MBG visited the astral realm, he says some deep things. Dude, yeah. Gaming Survivor will never forget that conversation. Gaming Survivor will remember that conversation for the rest of his life. Capono says, your son needs you to be stable. Well, yeah, of course. Of course. Caveman have big thoughts. MBG after his first acid trip. Oh shit, dude. I would never take acid, man. I've watched like some YouTube videos of people talking about bad trips that they've been on. And oh my God. I mean, it fucks people up. Honestly, though, like when I told you those stories, guys, like of the, the fucking astral plane or whatever it was, dude, you would have thought I had a bad acid trip. Like that's what happened. Was I drugged? Like, now that I'm thinking about it, was I drugged? You're saying psychedelics are great if you're in a good headspace. That's very interesting to me. So I heard this recently. I don't know if it's true, so I can't verify it. It sounded pretty unbelievable. Apparently, there was this study conducted back in like the 60s or something with rats. And the study that was conducted is they were like groups of rats were dropped into a large body of water to see how long they could tread water for. And apparently they lasted just a couple of hours and they just started dropping. It's kind of sounds like a fucked up experiment actually, but they started dropping and dying like within a couple of hours. But they took some of them out before they all died, right? They took some of them out and they let them rest and recover for a while. And then they put them back in. And do you know how long they lasted the second time around with treading water? Apparently, these rats lasted 60 hours this time. 60 hours. And again, I don't know the name of the person who did the experiment, but apparently one of the conclusions they came to is that the reason why they were able to last so long is because there was they knew that they would be taken out. Like there was the chance that they could be taken out. And it was like kind of this whole thing of like these rats essentially had some kind of, I don't know, hope of some, or I don't know if can rats feel hope? I don't know, but it was just interesting nonetheless. It sounded unbelievable to me. I'm like 60 hours, bro. But yeah, it is pretty cruel. It is. I don't know what the fuck was like they were trying to figure out with that study, but I didn't do the study. I'm just saying I came across it. But that was really interesting to me where it's like, damn, dude. Does that really kind of like speak to the difference between having some kind of hope or faith in something versus not? Yeah, it is pretty horrible. But what are you going to do, man? Rat studies in the 50s and 60s. Anyway, about that PlayStation Portal. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I can't even finish the rest of the topics. It feels too weird. It feels too weird to finish the rest of the topics. Like, it just feels strange to go from talking about such deep things in life to now let's just go back to talking about the PlayStation Portal and GTA 6. You know? Gaming Survivor says, existential crisis is good, MBG. It means you think about your life. Saying there's a video on YouTube about the British Army soldiers being given LSD. It's short but funny. Maybe I'll look into it. You're saying conversations like that make your stream special. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad you guys appreciate it. It's I think it shows that we've grown here, you know, where we can have these types of conversations on the channel. Overthinking can be too stressful. It can be. As much as I am all about thinking deeply, I do think there is also a time where you have to not think. You have to actually not think deep and try to turn it off and just, you know. Because, you know, an argument could be made. You can't really live in the moment if you're thinking too deeply about living in the moment. Right? Keeps these chats grounded. I agree. I think, yeah, that's the thing about it is like it kind of helps keep everything in perspective. And that's something I do want to speak to here is like, I do think there is a connection between all these different conversations we have and video games, because that's the thing, man, is video games are a work of art and these are people making them. And I noticed, it's not really a coincidence that I told you today that like the most impactful thing I came across in Spider-Man 2 was the Howard mission, because like, think about that mission, dude. Think about what that is trying to convey to you. It's very much about life, man. About life and the realities of it. And it's there to make you feel something. And it's like, yeah, man, it's all interconnected. It is. Thinking deep leads to paranoia. Maybe. I think it depends on what you're thinking deeply about. Dude, social media can be a double-edged sword, man. There can be so many. I mean, you allow so much stuff into your head. It's like, I saw Shems. There's like World War III. It's like, don't worry about it, man. Like, what are you going to do about it? Don't worry. Like Bob Marley, don't worry, be happy. Really, though. So you just gotta roll with it, man. Gotta roll with it. Here's 3 questions. What is DMT? Is it illegal? And where can I get some? I have no idea for the last one. The first 2, I don't know. I don't think it's legal. Hey, boss. Boss is trying to interrupt my deep thinking live stream, my deep philosophical live stream. Come here. Hey. I'm trying to get it away from that cord. Play with that, all right? It is natural, though. I've never done it. I've only heard about it. But DMT, it's like, I remember hearing about DMT that your body naturally produces it in abundance only 2 times. And that is like when you're being born or some shit, like, or I don't know, when you're in the womb. I don't know if you're in the womb around that time. Like basically when you're coming into the earth. Apparently your brain produces DMT naturally. And when you die, your brain produces a large amount of DMT. And yeah, so it's very interesting when you consider these things. I think there are other times though your body can produce DMT. You're saying it, Gavin, you're saying it's fantastic. Meet me around the back. I'll hook you up. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy stuff. I want to see those machine elves. Dude, that is so strange to me when you hear the stories of some people taking DMT where it's like almost everybody who takes it claim that they see some kind of beings, but they describe these beings differently every time. And it's like, what? What are we looking at here? What are these beings? What are these beings? Are they real at all? When you arrive and when you leave, that's kind of interesting. It is interesting. It's very interesting. MBG's Joe Rogan arc beginning. Isn't there like a running joke with Joe Rogan where it's like how long until he starts talking about DMT or something like that? Luden Prime, who knows, man? Maybe that's gonna happen eventually. Literally another dimension. We could, you know what? Let's segue into that topic. The topic of, do we believe in different dimensions? Do we believe in the 4th dimension? Is that where we go when we die? Do we go to the 4th dimension? My wife just got home, and if she can hear me right now, she's probably like, "Oh no, what is happening? What happened to the stream? What is he talking about in there?" Last I heard, he was talking about Sony's future plans with PlayStation, and now he's talking about the 4th dimension and where we go when we die. Holy shit. The PlayStation Portal dimension. Quick, MBG. PlayStation Portal. PlayStation Portal dimension. Sony Interactive has said that the PlayStation Portal, the upcoming PS5 handheld, isn't a rival to Steam Deck or the Nintendo Switch. As soon as the PS Portal was officially unveiled, players drew comparisons between Sony's handheld and the Steam Deck, arguing that the latter was a better proposition. However, according to Sony, they are far from being a similar product. Speaking to the BBC, SIE executive Eric Lempel clarified that PS Portal was never meant to be a rival to Steam and Nintendo handhelds. The first time Sony has officially jumped into this discourse. Quote, it's a different it's a different proposition and really just something unique to PlayStation's audience. It's like taking a trip to the fourth dimension. I don't know if you've ever done DMT, but I have, and let me tell you, the PlayStation Portal is how you're going to get there. Lempel's statement seems obvious considering the Portal doesn't work without a PS5, and there's actually a remote player rather than a full-fledged handheld system. But it's also $200, so yeah. So there you go. That's what Eric Lempel had to say about the PlayStation Portal. And there you go. I told you we were going to talk about the PlayStation Portal. So I don't know why he's promoting DMT like that, but Eric Lempel, man, he's new CEO of Sony. New CEO. They're going to definitely take us to different worlds, man. Sony's taking it very seriously. The whole idea of we want you to experience different worlds. I mean, they got pretty close with PSVR 2, but they're taking things up a notch now. Do I think the Portal was Jim Ryan's idea? I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea. I mean, there's no denying that underneath Jim Ryan, we've gotten way more hardware, so it could have been. We're going meta now. So, last topic, guys, just because I have it in the title, I got to make sure we cover it. GTA 6's innovative PS5 animation engine promises to be highly dynamic and realistic. Rockstar rarely ever rests on its laurels from project to project, but considering it's been over 10 years since GTA 5, we can surely expect GTA 6 to be a revolutionary experience. But while the label is kind of keeping its cards close to its chest regarding the project, one eagle-eye Reddit user has discovered a patent pertaining to what could potentially be the open-world sequel's locomotion engine. While the documentation gets quite technical, the submission alludes to a system whereby the developer can leverage a library of small building blocks for character movements. These can then be combined in a variety of different ways, allowing for a multitude of unique animations, like when a character is walking in the rain, injured, or getting tired. The idea is that said building blocks could be leveraged to create for a wider spectrum of animations, thus resulting in a highly dynamic and realistic experience. And considering Rockstar has always been a cut above when it comes to character animations, dating all the way back to GTA 4 on PS3, we can certainly envision this being an area it's invested significant amount of effort in. So, yeah, I mean, what makes this interesting to me, guys, again, not to take like such a hard left turn right back into gaming, but what does make this interesting to me is this is the first time that we're actually seeing, as far as I'm aware, like a patent discovered, like an official patent. Like, this isn't a rumor. This isn't somebody just making something up or somebody saying this is what they heard. Like, there's actually a patent regarding GTA 6 for Rockstar that basically says they're looking to take animation, the animation work, and their animation engine, their locomotion engine, to the next level for GTA 6, which I do agree that their animation work, especially in like Red Dead Redemption 2, is a cut above. It is. It's like next level. So the fact that they're going to try to push it even further with this game, it'll be very interesting to see this game in action and how it all pans out. But apparently there's also this rumor going around. I think it comes from like Legacy Killer. I don't know. I'd have to verify it. But I saw that there was this rumor that apparently Rockstar's considering not announcing GTA 6 this year, announcing it next year, and it may end up getting delayed into 2025. But apparently part of that rumor is also that they have changed their work culture, and there's like, they don't feel as pressured to like crunch or rush. So they're like totally okay if they want to delay it. And I think that's kind of nice, you know? I don't think there's necessarily a rush. I'd rather them take their time. But there you go. We went from talking about, you know, tripping on DMT to the PlayStation Portal to GTA 6. I'm perfect at segues. Legacy Killer HD, he's a pretty big YouTuber. He covers a bunch of stuff in the game industry, but I think he does cover Rockstar as well. I, again, don't run with what I'm saying. I'd have to look deeper into it, but I think I just came across it on Twitter in passing. But guys, we are hitting the 3.5 hour mark of the stream, and I think this is where I'm going to end it. We did a 3-hour stream last night, so we got another 3.5 hour stream here. I'm just checking really quick. Ooh, what is this?
Cinematic classic.
Hold on, what is this? Really quick.
Equally widespread acclaim.
Sorry.
Critics called the game innovative, a cinematic classic.
This is David Hayter.
The best video game ever made. The sequels received
I don't have it up
equally
on screen.
widespread acclaim, ultimately growing into a franchise that has reshaped the gaming world. I hope you're ready. This is only the beginning.
Oh, that was like an ad that Konami put out, or the official Metal Gear Twitter put out, where they actually got David Hayter to talk. That's very cool. I appreciate that they're doing that, man. I appreciate that they're showing David Hayter some love, because he is the voice of Snake, man. He's the voice of Snake. Pretty cool ad. All right, I just wanted to play that real quick because I came across it, but yeah, 1080p innovative. Well, I mean, yeah, there are some problems with the collection, but still, can't deny. Look, man, regardless of the mistakes that Konami may be making with the collection, you cannot deny these games truly are masterpieces, you know? Always and forever. And David Hayter, I think, is a big part of that, man. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Before we go, we have the poll results here. 1,105 votes, and 60% of you say yes, you do think FromSoftware is developing a PS5 exclusive for Sony. 39%, should be 40%, say no, you do not believe they are. You can't believe he doesn't speak like Snake in real life. Guys, I want you to do me a big favor. As you're heading out, please hit that like button for me. I would really appreciate that. I also want to make sure I give a big thank you and a big shout out to everybody who gifted channel memberships today and everybody who donated super chats. I really do sincerely appreciate the continued support you guys show the channel. And, you show me a lot of love here, and it means everything. So thank you for that. For those of you who support, you know who you are. And it's okay if you can't support. If you're just watching the content, I appreciate that as well. So, yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps. If you see him in the comments, you know the deal. Give him some love. Show him some thanks. I know he really appreciates it. He does a great job. And that's going to do it for the stream. So, yes, tomorrow is Halloween. Am I going to stream on Halloween? I plan to. Not late, of course. I'm going to go trick-or-treating. Not for me, but, my son. Or maybe it is for me. I don't know. Is it? But yeah, we're going to go trick-or-treating. But I would like to do a little stream tomorrow, hanging out with you guys a little bit. I'm not planning on dressing up or anything, so I wouldn't expect it. Am I going to do a cosplay? No, I'm not planning on doing anything like that. But I figured we could just hang out, chat for a little bit. Maybe we could talk about like horror games, some of our memories. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about what we're going to talk about. But that does it, guys. I will catch you in the next one. So until then, take care, everyone.